I woke up that morning when the butler knocked on my door and said it was 7 o'clock. I got up, washed up, had breakfast, and changed into my school uniform. Today was the class awakening, the most important day of my life. My parents are two of the 3 strongest guardians in Zhang City, both over level 400. I told myself I needed to awaken a decent class so I wouldn't embarrass them. Zhang Xia, the butler's son and my childhood friend, was waiting by the car. We got in the back of the limousine and headed to school. He looked restless, so I asked if he was nervous. "Yeah, how could I not be?" he said. "If I awaken a life class like chef or tailor, that's it for me. I'll just end up inheriting my dad's job and become your butler. I want a combat class. I want to fight the alien races, level up, and see what it's like past level 100. I told him there was nothing wrong with being a butler. His dad is well respected. But he shook his head. He said only combat classes are truly respected in this world. I leaned back and thought the same thing. Even though I could live comfortably no matter what because of my family, I still wanted real power. In this world, strength is everything. Zhang looked at me and said, "I'd be fine. Your parents are both level 400. Genetics matter a lot for awakening. You'll probably get a hidden class or a strong DPS one, definitely better than mine." Then he added hopefully that even a warrior or shield warrior would be enough for him. When we arrived at Zhang City No. 1 Middle School, a lot of luxury cars were already there. As we walked in, several students greeted me. I nodded and said hello back. Right after I got to my seat in Class 2, Grade 3, Wang Yiqing called my name loudly. The whole classroom went quiet. He walked up to me with his chin raised and said, "Today is Awakening Day. In exams, I was always a bit behind you, but that was just theory. Awakening depends on talent and bloodline. His dad is the 3rd pillar of Zhang City, also level 400, so our families have always been rivals. Wang Yiqing has compared himself to me since we were kids and never won." He continued, "I can feel it. The power inside me is restless. The class I awaken will definitely be stronger than yours. Today I'm going to beat you." I sat down and looked at him. "Wang Yiqing," I said, "you haven't beaten me before, and you won't beat me in the future either." I said it plainly, like it was just a fact. But Wang Yiqing's face turned red right away. He gritted his teeth and told me not to get ahead of myself, that we'd see. Then he went back to his seat, making the chair loud when he sat down. Zhang Xia leaned over and whispered that it was dominant. I told him I was just saying the truth. The class started talking about who would awaken the stronger class between me and Wang Yiqing. They said both our families had strong genes. Some hoped for mage or assassin, others said they'd be happy with any combat class. If they got something like gardener, they'd just have to accept a normal life. Everyone was nervous because this was the big divide. Good class and you rise up, bad class and you stay at the bottom. At 8 o'clock, our teacher Old Zhang came in and told everyone to head to the gymnasium. We all walked over together. The place was packed with the whole senior year, over 1,000 people. The principal kept it short and started the awakening ceremony. They called people in groups of 10 to the rooms in the back. When it was Zhang Xia's turn, he got really tense. He looked at me and said he was going. I told him good luck. Wang Yiqing walked past me and said, "Just watch. I'm going to show you what a genius really is." I watched the door to room 3 where Zhang Xia went in. I was worried for him because he's sensitive and it would hit him hard if he got a useless class. A few minutes later, Zhang Xia burst out holding a wooden longbow with a quiver on his back. He was jumping and shouting my name, saying he got marksman. The crowd got loud. People said it was a strong, long-range combat class, and he'd do well in dungeons. He ran back to me, still excited, holding up the bow. "Brother Fang, I have a bow. I'm a combat class." I told him congratulations. I was happy for him. Then there was a loud boom like thunder. The whole gymnasium shook. A dark cloud appeared above room 5 with purple lightning inside. Everyone started talking. It was a special phenomenon which only happens for powerful hidden classes. After the lightning struck, Wang Yiqing walked out. His hair was standing up, blue electric arcs were running around his body, and he held a deep blue longsword with lightning on it. He walked slowly, looking very arrogant as he took in all the shocked and jealous stares. I stood there as Wang Yiqing walked up to me with electricity still crackling around him. He raised his thunder sword and told me this was his class, Thunder Swordsman. He said it had strong lightning damage and paralysis, and that even though his dad only started as a normal swordsman, he was beginning as this rare one. He said he would become stronger than his dad, and asked what I had to compare with him. I just nodded and said, "Congratulations." I kept my voice even. He looked frustrated when I didn't react much. Before he could say more, the principal called the next group, including me. I walked past him toward the awakening room. I went into room 10. It was small and dark, with black metal walls. In the middle was a stone pedestal with a crystal ball on it. I put my hand on it. After a moment, I heard a ding in my head. The panel showed I awakened as Small Tycoon. Level 1, all attributes at 10, which is completely average. The skill was Money Smash. It costs 1 gold coin to deal strength times 3 damage. It looked like a trash class. But then I saw the talent. Money conquers all. It was temporary, only 5 minutes. It let me convert real money to gold coins at 100 to 1, and I could spend gold coins to increase my class potential. The talent would disappear after 5 minutes. I didn't waste time. I converted 2 million from my bank card and got 20,000 gold coins. Then I used 100 gold to upgrade. It became Tycoon. All attributes went up by 5, and Money Smash damage increased to strength times 5. The next upgrade cost 1,000 gold. I did it and became Great Wealthy Man. Attributes and skill got stronger again. Then it cost 10,000 gold for the next one. I used it and advanced to Financial Magnate. I felt power moving through my body. Now the next upgrade needed 100,000 gold coins. That's 10 million in real money. I only had 8,900 gold left. It wasn't enough. The countdown was at 3 minutes and 28 seconds. This was my chance to change things, so I couldn't stop here. I took out my phone and called my dad. I told him I was in the middle of awakening and needed a lot of money transferred right away. The more the better, and it had to be fast because I only had 3 minutes left. He didn't ask any questions. He just said okay and hung up. I waited, watching the countdown drop. At 1 minute left, the bank message came in. My dad had sent 150 billion. I converted all of it and got 15 billion gold coins. I used the talent to upgrade my class potential right away. I spent 100,000 gold, then 1 million, then 10 million, then 100 million, and finally 1 billion on the last upgrade. Each time the class advanced and my attributes and skills got much stronger. The talent disappeared after 5 minutes. When the light faded, my new class was God of Wealth. Unique. Level 1, but all 4 attributes were at 1,000. I had 388 million gold coins left. My skills were Money Talks, which lets me spend gold coins for true damage, and Money Makes the Devil Mill, which lets me summon up to 10 money ghosts with the same attributes as me. Outside the room, 4 minutes had passed with no reaction. Wang Yiqing was standing there and said I was probably just ordinary, no matter how strong my parents were. Other students were whispering the same thing. Then a bright golden light burst out of my room. It was much stronger than the lightning from Wang Yiqing's awakening. The light shot through the gymnasium dome into the sky and formed a huge phantom of an ancient coin high above. I walked out of the room. Everyone was staring at me after that big golden coin appeared in the sky. Wang Yiqing came up and blocked my way. He asked what I awakened, his voice sounding hurried. I told him it was a secret. He got angry, but I walked past him back to the lineup. Zhangxia ran over and hugged me. He said the golden coin was incredible and that my phenomenon was way bigger than Wang Yiqing's. Other classmates gathered around and congratulated me, saying things like, "Young Master Lu, carry us in the future." I smiled and thanked them. Then I went to a corner and called my dad to tell him what happened. He didn't pick up. I tried a few more times and called my mom too, but no one answered. I figured they were busy on a mission, so I put the phone away. When the whole awakening ceremony finished, the principal came back on stage. He said this year went well and then told us about the initial dungeon. Everyone who just awakened gets 1 free chance to enter it. There are 15 levels, and the further you go, the better the rewards and evaluation. The principal said the school would give extra rewards for the top 100 in the dungeon rankings. First place would get an exclusive equipment blind jar, unbound. A lot of people got excited because that jar could give equipment suited to your own class, and sometimes even good stuff. I wanted that jar. My class has high attributes, but can't use normal weapons or armor, so I need exclusive items. Wang Yiqing came over again and said we both had special classes with phenomena, but he would prove he was stronger. Zhangxia told him not to be arrogant because my phenomenon was much bigger. Wang Yiqing snorted and said loudly that his initial strength was 60 points. Everyone around got shocked and started talking about how crazy that was. He looked at me, waiting for a reaction. I just looked back at him and said, "Oh." I wasn't impressed by his 60 strength. I had 1,000 on my panel, so 60 didn't mean anything to me. Wang Yiqing's face turned dark red. He gritted his teeth and said I should wait and see who does better in the dungeon. Then the principal put his hand on the big crystal ball and said all students should prepare to teleport. Gray light shot out and covered everyone. The next second, the whole gymnasium was empty. I opened my eyes in a gray, empty space. A mechanical voice said the first challenge was starting with 10 monsters. 10 red lights appeared in front of me and turned into tusked boars. I immediately summoned my money ghosts at full power, spending 100,000 gold coins. 10 golden figures appeared around me. They were 2 meters tall, made of gold-like muscle, with a big coin mark where their faces should be. Each one had 1,000 in every attribute. The boars barely finished spawning before the money ghosts attacked. One casual swing from the front one crushed all 10 boars instantly. Damage numbers over 2,000 popped up, and the boars exploded into red light. It was over in 1 hit. The system said level 1 cleared in 1 second. I got 100 experience and leveled up to level 2 right away. All my attributes jumped from 1,000 to 1,100. The money ghosts grew bigger too, and their attack power increased. I looked at the panel and couldn't believe it. A normal class only gets about 40 total attribute points per level. Even Wang Yiqing's hidden class probably gets around 100 total. I got 400. The gap was going to get even bigger as I leveled up. I stood there smiling a little. I was just too strong. I realized right away how broken this class was. The stronger I got, the stronger my money ghosts became. The stronger they were, the faster they cleared monsters, the faster I leveled up. The faster I leveled up, the stronger I became. It was a perfect loop, with no end. I looked at the 10 golden figures around me and laughed. Come on, let the storm rage on. Outside in the stadium, the big screen showed my level jump from 1 to 2. The teachers noticed it first. Then they saw I cleared the first level in 1 second. They started saying it must be a bug. But before they could finish arguing, my level started flashing like crazy on the screen. 2, then 5, then 8, then 10. Everyone went silent. The teachers stared with their mouths open. Old Zhang was holding the railing, shaking. The vice principal said it couldn't be a bug because the times were slightly different each time. They realized I was actually clearing the levels that fast. Inside the dungeon, I kept going. Level after level, my money ghosts tore through everything. 20 wolves, 50 jungle leopards, 100 iron bears, all gone in seconds. I reached level 3, then 4. My attributes kept going up by 100 each time, and the money ghosts grew with me. By the time I hit level 15, the final challenge, there were 200 elite bloodthirsty lizards. They were level 10 and supposed to be the hardest thing in the dungeon. I told the money ghosts to clean it up. They finished all 200 in 3 seconds. I got 30,000 experience and leveled up to 5. My attributes reached 1,400. The dungeon should have ended and teleported me out, but the white light never came. The gray sky suddenly turned blood red. The temperature dropped fast, and a strong smell of blood filled the air. I saw the warning pop up. I had cleared the first 15 levels in under 100 seconds, so a hidden level called the Shura stage unlocked. It gave 2 choices. Leave now and get the highest rating, SSS, or enter the hidden level. If I won, all rewards would double. If I lost, I could die. I didn't even look at the warning about the danger. I just saw double rewards and pressed confirm. I had hundreds of millions in gold and attributes that crushed everyone else. There was no reason to back down. The ground under me collapsed into a blood-red vortex and pulled me in. When I opened my eyes, I was standing on a huge ancient battlefield. Black scorched earth, broken weapons, and giant bones everywhere. A strong wind was blowing and I could hear wailing sounds. Then the ground started shaking. Hundreds of black abyssal wolves, level 10, came charging from all directions like a black tide. 500 of them. I told my money ghosts to go. They turned into golden blurs and charged straight into the pack. Each one had 1,400 strength now, and their attacks were over 2,800 damage. The wolves couldn't even get close. They exploded on impact. Experience poured in so fast the notifications turned into one long buzz. I leveled up to 6, then 7 in under a minute. My attributes went up another 200 points total, and the money ghosts grew stronger with me. When the last wolf fell, the battlefield went quiet for a second. Then a huge crack opened in the ground and lava poured out. A 10-meter tall Hell Demon General climbed out, level 50, with 2 million health and thick, dark red armor. It roared, and the sound wave blew apart the remaining wolf corpses. My money ghosts rushed it and started punching, but the damage was tiny, only a couple hundred points at most. Its defense was too high. They were barely scratching it. I looked at the giant boss and smiled a little. Physical defense too high to break through, I said to myself. Then I'll bury you in money. I raised my right hand and pointed at it. I activated Money Talks and spent 10,000 gold coins. A huge gold coin the size of a millstone appeared in the sky and slammed straight into the Hell Demon General. It did 1 million true damage. Half the boss's 2 million health disappeared in one hit. True damage ignores defense, so the armor didn't matter. I raised my hand again and spent another 10,000 gold. The second coin hit and the boss went down instantly. It exploded into light and left a big crater. I got 80,000 experience. My level jumped from 7 all the way to 13. All my attributes went up to 2,200. The system gave me some loot, but it was all class restricted for warrior or mage, so I couldn't use any of it. I just threw it in my backpack. Then the battlefield started collapsing and the final settlement screen appeared. I got SSS rating for clearing the hidden Shura level, and because it was a hidden stage, all rewards doubled. Final rewards, 200,000 gold coins, 2 free skill points, and a diamond tier exclusive equipment blind box. I opened the blind box and got a pair of diamond grade boots called the Tycoon's boots. They had no defense or stats, but they gave plus 200% movement speed. That was perfect for early game. 3 times faster than normal running. I put them on right away and felt light on my feet. I used 1 skill point on Money Talks. It upgraded to level 2 and now does 150 times the gold coins and true damage instead of 100. I tried to upgrade it again, but it was locked by level. I put the second skill point on Money Makes the World Go Round. It upgraded to level 2, so the money ghosts I summon now inherit 150% of my attributes instead of 100%. I looked at the upgraded skill and saw that the money ghosts now inherit 150% of my attributes instead of 100%. That was a big improvement. I told them to return. The 10 golden figures turned into streams of light and went back inside me. This way I could summon them again later without spending more gold coins. A white beam of light came down and teleported me out. When I appeared in the gymnasium, everyone was staring at me. The place was completely silent. Dozens of teachers and staff were looking at me like I was something they had never seen before. My uniform was still clean and neat, like I had just gone for a short walk. The big screen showed I had cleared all 15 floors. People started shouting that it was impossible because the old record was only 12. Then the screen flashed with bright purple gold light and showed my final rating, SSS. The whole stadium exploded. Teachers were saying things like SSS rank, and this has never happened in the school's 100-year history. Some looked like they couldn't believe their eyes. The vice principal leaned back in his chair, completely stunned. I just stood there with my hands in my pockets, waiting. So after I cleared the dungeon, I was standing in the middle of the stadium with my hands in my pockets. The big screen showed my name at the top in purple and gold letters. It said first place Lu Fang, 15 floors cleared, SSS rating. Wang Yixing was second with only level 2. I smiled a little when I saw that. Nobody in the crowd knew yet that I had actually cleared all 15 normal levels, killed 3,000 Abyss Wolves, and wiped out that level 50 Hell Demon General with 2 million health in just a few minutes. They only saw the final ranking. Then the teleport array lit up and the first group of eliminated students came out. Most of them got knocked out in round 2 or 3. They looked pretty beat up and some had injuries. They were complaining that the wolves in level 2 moved too fast and they barely lasted a minute in level 3. Their settlement panels all showed F rating and 50 copper coins reward. One guy was holding a cheap bottle of medicine and shaking his head like it wasn't worth almost dying for. One of the boys spotted me standing there and figured I must have gotten eliminated early too since I wasn't dirty or hurt. He walked over with this smug look on his face, like he was about to pat me on the shoulder and say something about it being my first time in a dungeon and that it was okay. He was probably trying to make himself feel better after his own F. Our homeroom teacher from class 2 stopped him before he could touch me. He told the guy he was making a fool of himself and to just look up at the screen, so the whole group turned and looked. They saw my name at the top with 15 floors cleared and SSS rating. They all froze with their mouths open. The guy holding the medicine bottle just stared at it, then at the screen like he couldn't believe it. Nobody said anything for a while. About an hour and a half later, the teleport lit up again and Jiangsha came out. He was sweaty and his uniform was torn in a few places from fighting. He had cleared 8 levels with a B rating and got a pair of silver Windwalker bracers plus a skill book called Rapid Fire. He pumped his fist and said it was awesome. Then he came straight over to where I was sitting with water, sat down next to me, took the bottle I handed him, drank most of it, and said I was too fast. So Jiangsha wiped his mouth and started complaining about how brutal level 8 was. He said there were 100 iron-skinned bears, and it felt like he almost pulled his arms off, grinding them down. Then he looked at me and asked how many levels I cleared. He figured it must have been easier for me since I was so clean and guessed I probably got an A. I told him I cleared them all. Jiangsha spit out the water he was drinking and started coughing hard. He said I had to be joking because the school record was only 12 levels. He turned to check the screen himself and just froze when he saw it. He stared at the 15 levels and SSS rating, then looked back at me, then back at the screen. He couldn't even get a full sentence out at first. Finally, he asked if I was even human. About 2 hours and 8 minutes after the dungeon started, the teleport lit up one last time and Wang Yixing came out. He had cleared 12 levels with an A rating and got silver thunder gauntlets, a silver gale necklace, and a skill book called Block. He was covered in blood and his uniform was ripped, but he looked proud of himself. He said he broke the old school record by half an hour and walked straight over to me with this smirk. He looked me up and down and said I must have come out early to rest since I was still so clean. Then he bragged loud enough for everyone to hear that he had cleared up to level 12 and broken the record. He stared at me like he was waiting for me to look jealous or embarrassed. I didn't say anything. I just looked at him. Wang Yixing noticed how quiet everything got and how everyone was staring at him with this weird pitying look. He turned and checked the screen. When he saw he was second place with 12 levels and A rating and I was first with 15 and SSS, he just stood there frozen. He kept repeating that it was impossible and that SSS couldn't even exist. His whole face went blank like he couldn't process it. Then the principal stepped up on the platform, told everyone to quiet down, and said since the dungeon was over, we would start the award ceremony. So the principal stepped up and said we had created a real miracle that would go down in Federation history. Then he announced that I cleared 15 levels with an SSS rating in 1 minute, 17 seconds. The whole gym went crazy. Everyone started yelling and cheering like they couldn't believe it. Jiangsha dropped his water bottle again and just stared at me with his mouth open. He asked if I was actually telling the truth earlier. I told him yes and bent down to pick up the bottle for him. Wang Yixing dropped his sword on the floor. He stood there for a second, then sat down, looking completely defeated. The principal handed me a black sealed canister and said it was my exclusive reward. He hoped it would help me do well on the college entrance exam in a month. I took it and walked back to where my class was standing. Jiangsha leaned in right away and told me to open it. I popped the tab while no one was looking. The canister turned into light and a gold ring appeared in my hand. It had a skill that lets you spend 10,000 gold coins to create a 1-second shield worth 1,000,000 health. I put it on. It was a really strong life-saving skill. The rest of the award ceremony went on with other students getting called up. At the end, the principal told everyone not to get discouraged or too proud and to get ready for the exam in a month. Then he said the awakening ceremony was over. Right after that, the whole gym shook hard. The big protective shield above us started vibrating and making this awful noise. All the sunlight disappeared like someone had pulled a black curtain over everything. So the lights in the gym went out all at once like it turned to night. People started yelling, asking what happened. Then 3 figures with dark red energy around them floated down from above, and right after that, over 100 guys in black combat suits with red wolf head badges on their chests landed and surrounded the whole place. The principal stepped forward and shouted, asking who they were and how they dared break in. The bald guy in the middle laughed and said they were the Blood Wolf Society. He said our parents had destroyed their branch in the southern province and killed a lot of their people, so now they were here to kill me and Wang Yixing to settle the blood debt. The principal asked what they wanted and threatened them with the 3 pillars and the guard team. The bald guy said the 3 pillars were all away dealing with riots at the Abyss Rift, and that they had set up a special barrier called the Dark Night Canopy over the gym. He said inside the barrier no signals could get out and no one outside would hear anything even if they killed everyone. The principal tried his emergency communicator but got no signal. Then he and the vice principal both attacked the barrier with full power. The vice principal swung a giant flaming axe and the principal summoned some giant light figure. But when they hit it, they both got blasted back hard, coughed up blood, and crashed onto the stage looking badly hurt. The bald guy watched them and said the fun was over. He raised his hand and gave the order to kill everyone except me and Wang Yixing. So right after the bald guy gave the order, the hundreds of men in black started attacking. They threw wind blades, fireballs, and shadow arrows straight at the students. Everyone started screaming and running in panic. The teachers rushed forward and put up earth walls, water curtains, and holy light shields to block the attacks. The explosions knocked over tables and chairs in the front. The principal got back up even though he was hurt and told all the teachers to hold the line and protect the students no matter what. Then he told the vice principal to stall the guy on the left while he went after the bald leader himself. He burned his own life force and charged up into the air as a stream of light. The bald guy used some blood mist that completely countered the principal's holy light attack and blasted him back hard. The principal coughed up blood and looked ready to collapse. The vice principal tried to help, but the effeminate guy with daggers appeared behind him and stabbed him deep in the back. The woman with the curse seals put gray circles on both of them that slowed them down and weakened them fast. Below, the teacher's defensive line started breaking. One teacher's earth wall got smashed and he flew backward. The men in black swarmed in and started hitting the students directly. Students were screaming and running everywhere, some falling down in fear. One of the students near me said the attackers were all level 40 or higher, and the 3 leaders had to be over level 100 since they were beating the principal so easily. He said there was no way we could fight back. So there I was with my level at 13, but my total stats already at 2,200. My money ghost was 1.5 times stronger than me, so 3,300 points. That was more than enough to deal with the guys down there. I took a step forward to call it out and clear the field. Right then, my 2 friends, Wang Yixing and Zhang Xia, grabbed my arms from both sides. Wang Yixing had blood on his face from the fight, but he didn't even wipe it. He yelled that I was crazy and about to throw my life away. Zhang Xia was holding me too, voice shaking, saying not to rush in because even though I cleared the 15th floor, I had only just awakened. Wang Yixing said if I rushed in, I'd get killed instantly. They both thought I was strong for a new guy, but nowhere near strong enough against people who had been awakened for years. I could tell they were really worried about me, even though they were wrong. I pulled free without any trouble because my strength stat was that high. I told them not to worry, I don't do things that get me killed. Then I turned around and called my money ghost. 10 of them appeared. Each one was over 3 meters tall, solid build, dark gold color, with a big copper coin mark on the face instead of normal features. Every single one had 3,300 points. The students hiding behind me got scared. They thought maybe the enemy had summoned them and started backing away. I pointed at the Blood Wolf Society fighters and just said, "Kill." The 10 ghosts charged straight in. They didn't care about the enemy's skills at all. One grabbed a blade, another punched a guy in the chest with over 2,700 strength, and sent him flying into the wall, dead. It happened everywhere at once. The 10 ghosts just tore through the whole line like it was nothing and started pushing the fight back in our favor. The teachers who were barely holding on saw it and realized these were my summons. Everyone turned and looked at me. They finally understood why I cleared the 15th floor with an SSS rating. These things were strong enough to sweep the whole initial dungeon. Wang Yixing and Zhang Xia just stood there with their mouths open. Up in the sky, the 3 leaders noticed too. They stopped playing with the principal and vice principal and looked down, surprised at how strong these summoned creatures were. So the bald leader up in the sky was staring straight at me. The joking look was gone. He said that summoning something this strong on the first day meant I couldn't be left alive, or the Blood Wolf Society would have no future. The effeminate assassin and the cursed witch both agreed. They said I had to die right now. I knew the real problem was still up there. If those 3 level 100 plus leaders got free, everything on the ground would fall apart fast. The principal and vice principal were already in bad shape, covered in blood and barely holding on. I shouted up to them. I told them to control one of the leaders for me, even if it was only for 1 second, because I could kill him. They thought it was insane. A new guy like me trying to kill a level 100 plus powerhouse? They figured I had lost it. The bald leader and the others started laughing and mocking me, saying I was just babbling nonsense because I was scared. Then the cursed witch hit the vice principal with an aging curse that slowed him down. The bald leader kicked him hard in the chest and sent him crashing down, badly hurt. The principal yelled at me, asking if I was ready yet. I shouted again, calm this time. I told them to trust me once. If they wanted to live, do what I said. The vice principal said we were probably going to die anyway, so we might as well try. The principal agreed. They dropped all their defenses at the same time, burned whatever strength they had left, and poured everything into their strongest control skills on the bald leader. Light chains wrapped around his arms and legs. Huge rock hands grabbed his legs and locked him in place. The other 2 leaders stabbed and cursed the principal and vice principal while they did it, but the 2 of them held the bind and shouted for me to go. I pointed my finger at the bald leader and used my money talk skill. 10,000 gold disappeared from my account right then. The bald leader looked down at me and laughed. He said even if he stood still, I couldn't break his blood demon protective key because his defense was over 8,000. But before he finished talking, something changed. A huge gold coin appeared in the air above him, bigger and brighter than anything before. The coin came straight down on the bald leader. To him, it felt like a mountain was falling on his head. He tried to break free, but couldn't. Those chains were bought with half the lives of the principal and vice principal. I pressed my finger down. The coin went right through his blood sheet like paper and hit him. It did 1.5 million true damage in one hit and took away 2/3 of his health. He screamed and fell from the sky. Everyone froze and stared. 1.5 million true damage that ignores defense and level was insane. The principal and vice principal went from thinking they were dead to looking like they couldn't believe what just happened. I told them to keep going. I used money talks again for another 10,000 gold. A second coin slammed into him and wiped out the last of his health. His body turned into golden light and disappeared completely. Now it was 2 against 2 up there. The effeminate assassin and the cursed witch looked at me with completely different eyes. They were scared. They said I was the biggest threat and had to be killed right now. The assassin ignored the vice principal's attack, took the hit on purpose, and fired a black death light from his dagger straight at my head. Everyone thought I was finished. A level 100 kill shot would destroy any newbie, but I rubbed the dark gold ring on my finger and used money wall. It cost another 10,000 gold and put a pale gold shield around me. The deathlight hit the shield hard and almost broke it, but the shield held. The shield took 2 big hits and lost 630,000 points, but it still had 370,000 left out of a full million. The level 100 attack couldn't break through it. When the light faded, the shield was gone, but I was still standing there fine. Everyone was stunned. My defense was just as crazy as my attack. The effeminate assassin couldn't believe I survived his best shot. I told the principal and vice principal to pin the last 2 down and I'd finish them. They got their fighting spirit back and went after the assassin and the cursed witch hard. I kept using money talks. 1 hit crushed half the assassin's body. Another smashed the witch's shield. A couple more finished them both off. The fight was over in about a minute. Everyone just stared at me like I was something out of this world. The principal walked over, all beat up, and tried to bow and apologize for not protecting the school and needing a student to save him. I stopped him. I told him it wasn't his fault. Those 3 came for me and Wang Yiqing because of old grudges from our parents. The school got dragged in because of us. I stepped in to protect myself and everyone else. It was my responsibility. He thanked me. Wang Yiqing stood there watching. After seeing what I could do, he just felt the gap was too big. He gave up on ever competing with me. After we finished them off, the black barrier around the gym started breaking apart. Sunlight came back in and everyone's phones started working again. The guard team showed up right after that. Their captain, Ji Shuneng, jumped out of a jet and ran inside, looking completely panicked. He had gotten an alert about 3 level 100+ intruders with a ceiling barrier at the school and figured we were all dead. When he saw the students were still alive and just scared and dirty, and that me and Wang Yiqing were fine, he looked so relieved he almost fell over. He kept muttering that his career was saved. Then he saw the principal and vice principal covered in blood and getting bandaged. He thought the 2 of them had somehow held off and counter-killed all 3 level 100 invaders by themselves to protect everyone. He rushed over, grabbed the principal's uninjured hand, and started calling them heroes. He said they were amazing for saving over 1,000 students and even saving his own life. Captain Ji Shuneng kept gripping the principal's hand and said he would definitely report their contributions and give them the highest award so the whole city would know. The principal and vice principal looked awkward and embarrassed. The principal pulled his hand back and said they couldn't take the credit. He pointed at me and told Ji Shuneng that while they had held the 3 leaders off, it was actually me who killed them and turned the tide. Ji Shuneng froze. He looked at me, then at the bodies, then back at me. He couldn't believe a student who just awakened today had killed 3 level 100 powerhouses. He checked the bald leader's corpse and saw the damage wasn't from the principal or vice principal's skills. He finally accepted it. He walked over, patted my shoulder, and said I was even more of a genius than my parents when they were young. I told him it was just good luck. Then he got serious. He bowed deeply in front of everyone and apologized on behalf of the guard team. He said it was their major failure that the Blood Wolf Society had set up a barrier right under their noses and almost caused a tragedy. Without me stepping in, the consequences would have been unimaginable. I told Uncle G that the enemy came prepared and their methods were sneaky, so the guard team couldn't be blamed entirely. He said no, dereliction of duty is dereliction of duty, no excuses. Then he turned to everyone and promised the guard team would take full responsibility and report my achievements to the National Alliance completely. I asked him how the Blood Wolf Society knew the top secret about my parents and Wang Yiqing's father being sent to the front lines. Ji Shuneng realized there must be a traitor in the city high levels. He promised to find the traitor even if he had to turn Zhang City upside down. Then he ordered his teams to seal the scene and take care of the wounded and students. I patted Zhang Xiao on the shoulder and said, "Let's go." We walked out under everyone's stares. When I got home, the old butler was waiting. He gave me a black gold box from my parents. Inside was an equipment upgrade card that can upgrade any equipment below diamond grade by 1 level, while keeping the original effects. I used it on my money barrier ring. It went from gold to diamond. Now it gives plus 50 to all attributes and a skill that costs 20,000 gold for a 2-second shield worth 100 times the gold spent, with a 12-hour cooldown. So after I checked the ring, it had upgraded. The old skill 1000 gold dispersion changed into 10,000 gold invulnerability. It costs 20,000 gold coins to use now instead of 10,000, but that was nothing to me. The shield lasts 2 seconds and blocks up to 2 million points of damage. That was the same as the full health on that level 50 Hell Demon General from earlier. I can use it twice a day now instead of once. I put the ring back on my finger and felt fine about it. That night I lay in bed holding the ring and thinking about my parents. I wanted to tell them about my SSS rank awakening, solo killing those 3 level 100 Blood Wolf Society guys, and the guard team promise. I turned over and called their private encrypted number. It rang a few times, but no one picked up and it just disconnected. I wondered what they were doing. My dad had answered earlier at the ceremony to send me money, but nothing after that. With everything that happened in Jiangcheng today, I knew the guard team would have reported the Blood Wolf attack, and my parents, as the top people there, should have known about it. I figured they were probably in some area with no signal and tried not to think too much about it. I didn't know this part at the time, but at the guard team command center, Captain Ji Shuneng finished writing up my full report with my unknown mysterious class, clearing 15 floors in 1 minute, 17 seconds, and killing those 3 level 100 powerhouses. He sent it straight to the Dragon Kingdom headquarters. Then he and his deputy started talking about it. The deputy said with what I showed today, I probably didn't even need to take the college entrance exam. He said if this got out, all the major class transfer universities would go crazy trying to recruit me, and even the top 5 would offer me direct admission without any test. The captain agreed and said that was true. He listed the top 5 as Zhenyuan Academy, Tianwu University, Star Academy, Shenji Institute, and Holy Spirit Academy. He said those are the best places in the whole Dragon Kingdom where everyone dreams of going, but only a few thousand people make it each year from tens of millions of awakened. Even my parents, who were rare geniuses in Jiangcheng for a century, only got into a top-tier university, not the top 5. The captain said I was even more of a monster than my parents. Then the red emergency phone on his desk rang. The captain answered it right away. After listening for a bit, his face went completely white. He dropped the phone on the desk and said the sky had fallen. So right when I was about to turn off the light and sleep, there was a knock at the bedroom door. Uncle John came in looking serious and said Captain Ji Shuneng was downstairs. I got a bad feeling again, so I threw on a coat and went down fast. Captain Ji was standing in the living room, still in his uniform, like he had rushed straight over. He looked pale and his eyes were red, and he seemed like he had aged 10 years. I asked him straight out what happened. Captain Ji had trouble getting the words out at first. He told me I had to hold on. I asked him what happened to my parents. He said news came back from the front line that the 3 pillars, including my parents, had been killed in action. They were on a suppression mission at the Abyss Rift when they ran into a powerful alien. The 3 of them fought it together, but a spatial node went out of control and triggered a spatial storm that swept them and the alien all inside it. I told him that being swept in did not mean they were dead, and there was no body or proof. So on what basis could anyone say that? Captain G explained that a spatial storm is a total disaster with no coordinates, no direction, and everything gets torn apart by turbulence. Once you are inside, communication cuts off completely, and in all of history, no one has ever come back alive. Because of that, the frontline rules say anyone swallowed by a spatial storm is presumed dead. I said that was impossible and my parents could not have died like that. I said they were just swept in and I believed they were still alive. Captain G told me the front line was still searching for any spatial fluctuations and he would tell me the second there was news. He said the most important thing was for me to stay steady because my parents would be proud of what I did today with the SSS rank and killing those 3 level 100 guys. Captain G said he still had to go tell the same news to the Wang family. Then he left. I told Uncle Zhang I was going to find my parents. He said the place they went missing is the Abyss Rift front line, and only people level 200 or higher can even step foot there. I said I would level up to 200 very soon. Uncle Zhang said okay and that I definitely could. I nodded and went upstairs. So after I went upstairs, Uncle Zhang stayed in the living room. He was worried because now that my parents were gone, the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce they built would be mine. It was a big one with a lot of wealth distribution channels, resources, connections, equipment, supply chains, potion workshops, and dungeon material trading across Jiangcheng and the southern province. He knew no one had dared to touch it while my parents were around, but now with me still young, he thought the inheritance probably wouldn't go smoothly. I didn't know any of that at the time, but over at Genuine Academy in Longshan City, the principal read my report and called me a monster. He called in Teacher Zhou from the admissions office and told him to go straight to Jiangcheng, test me, and recruit me with S-rank admission if the file was true. S-rank is the highest treatment there, and only a few students per grade ever get it. He said the other top schools would also try to recruit me, so Genuine had to move fast. Then a message came in, and the principal told Teacher Zhou no need to go because Tianlong had already made a move. Tianlong is the core power at the very top of the whole Dragon Kingdom. Teacher Zhou was shocked that a student who just awakened got Tianlong's attention. The next morning, I woke up calm and got dressed like normal. I went downstairs for breakfast. Uncle Zhang had it ready, and he looked worried. He said I didn't have to force myself about my parents. I told him they weren't dead because no bodies were found, and I would bring them back from wherever they were, whether it was a spatial storm or the Abyss Rift. Then I said I was going to run dungeons today to level up fast. Uncle Zhang said he understood. I went to the Zhongcheng Profession Center, paid the fee, and entered a room with all the dungeon screens. I picked the Frost Cave one for levels 13 to 18. I was at level 13, right at the entry point. I picked Hell difficulty for the Frost Cave without thinking twice. The screen said dungeons at hard and above needed staff confirmation. This young guy in a Profession Center uniform walked over. His name tag said Dungeon Administrator Liu Cheng. He looked at what I selected and asked if I clicked the wrong thing. I told him no. He asked if I was really sure about Hell Solo. I said yes. His face changed and he said it was nonsense. The Frost Cave on Hell recommends a 4-person team with at least 1 tank, 1 healer, and the other 2, preferably fire, DPS. He said I wasn't dungeon crawling, I was just courting death. I didn't argue with him. I knew he was only following the rules to keep new people from dying. I pulled out my phone and called Captain Ji Xuneng directly. When he picked up, I told him I was at the Profession Center, wanted to enter Frost Cave on Hell, but the staff wouldn't let me in, and asked him to confirm it with the guy. I handed the phone over. Liu Cheng answered, and the second he heard the name, his back went straight. He said yes, understood, and confirmed. Then he gave the phone back to me with both hands. His whole attitude changed. Before he was looking at some dumb rookie. Now he was looking at me like I was something else entirely. He tapped the screen and the portal opened. It showed my name, level 13, and number of people. 1. He saw that and his eye twitched. He told me if I ran into trouble inside, I could use an emergency evacuation scroll, even though Hell had a 3-second delay. I said no need, I'd be out soon. Then I stepped through. Inside the dungeon, the system said there was an extreme cold domain effect that slowed movement by 30%, attack speed by 20%, and made stamina drain 50% faster. It didn't matter to me. I called out my money ghosts. 10 of them appeared at once. Frost wolves at level 12 started coming out in big groups. The ghosts just smashed them flat the second they showed up. I kept walking forward while they cleared the path ahead. Traps got triggered and tanked through instantly. I finished the first section in 3 minutes, the second in 5, and the third in 6. Everything got crushed the moment it appeared. My level went up to 14, then right after to 15. I reached the final boss room deep in the dungeon. The big ice gate opened and this 10-meter tall ice blue giant bear was lying on a platform in the middle. It was the Frost Tyrant, level 50, with over 1,000,000 HP. It had a special thing on Hell where if its health dropped below half, it would recover 5% of its max HP every second for 20 seconds. It woke up, looked at me, and roared. I just said, kill. My 10 money ghosts charged straight in. The bear barely got to stand before they were on it, hitting it with fists, elbows, knees, and stomps. No fancy moves, just raw power. Its health bar dropped through 90%, 70, 50. The recovery started, but the ghosts kept pounding and emptied the bar completely before it could do anything. The dungeon cleared. I got 80,000 experience, leveled up to 17, and got an SSS rating. Clear time was 29 minutes and 48 seconds. I picked up the drops on the ground, but they were all for other classes, so I just threw them in my inventory. Then I recalled the money ghosts and stepped through the exit portal. Back at the profession center, Liu Chung was sitting there chatting on his phone. When I walked out, he thought I had wiped. He came over and said it was fine, normal to fail the first time on Hell, and that lasting half an hour alone was already pretty good. Right then, the clear screen next to him lit up with purple gold text. Frost Cave, Hell, cleared by me solo, 29 minutes 48 seconds, SSS rating. His eyes went wide and he said, "Holy crap, you cleared it?" I told him to open the next dungeon for me, a level 17 entry 1 on Hell. He asked which. I said Lava Ruins. He pulled up the list with shaking hands and opened it. I thanked him and walked into the new portal. Later he called Captain G and told him I had solo cleared the Frost Cave on Hell in under 30 minutes with an SSS rating. I didn't know any of this until Captain G told me later, but here's what happened right after he got the call. He was in a meeting with the city lord Han Qianshan when the report came in. They checked the old records and found out the previous fastest Hell clear for Frost Cave was done 5 years ago by a full 4-person team averaging level 15. It took them 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 42 seconds. My solo time of 29 minutes and 48 seconds with SSS made the city lord go quiet. He called me a monster and said it was the only good news the city had that day, especially after losing the 3 pillars. They started talking about how my talent would pull in the 5 great academies, and how we could maybe use that to get some high-level experts temporarily stationed here to help with the security problems. Then a man in a long black coat just appeared by the window out of nowhere. No one saw him come in, no alarms went off, nothing. Captain G stood up and reached for his weapon, but the city lord immediately bowed and called him my lord. The guy showed a black token with a golden dragon on it that said Heavenly Dragon on the back. He said he was in the area on a mission, and higher-ups had sent him to take a quick look because of me. Later, Captain G told me what happened in that meeting. The man in black had them pull up my full file and took the whole thing into his hand in under 10 seconds. Then he told them not to tell me anything, not to make a scene, and not to let anyone know he had been there. After that, he just faded away right in front of them with no teleport light or anything. They figured out he was from Tianlong. Captain G said it's some group above the 5 great academies that only takes the absolute top people after they screen through the best graduates, and it answers straight to the highest level of the country. That explained why no academies had contacted them yet. After I went into the Lava Ruins, I just kept clearing dungeons the whole day. I did Molten Ruins Hell in 34 minutes, Poison Mist Swamp in 38, Bone Graveyard in 32, Thunder Canyon in 41, and kept going like that. 16 dungeons total before the day was over. Every single one was solo Hell difficulty with SSS rating, and everyone smashed the old Zhangcheng records by hours. By evening, I was level 40. Liu Chung stood at the entrance watching me go in and out. By afternoon, he looked completely numb and just kept saying, "He went in again." Captain G and the city lord got the reports while they were talking defense plans. They couldn't believe the speed. Normal people with full teams and good resources take months to reach level 40. I did it in 1 day. They started guessing how long until I hit level 100 for the first transfer. Captain G said maybe half a month. The city lord said 10 days. The next day I went back to the profession center as usual. When Liu Chung saw me, he stood up right away and started calling me sir. He already had the highest experience Hell dungeon for my current level range pulled up before I even opened my mouth. I thanked him and went in. I cleared dungeons the whole day again. By evening when I came out, I was level 58. 1.5 days from level 13 to 58. I checked my panel and decided I could reach level 100 and finish the first advancement in 1 week at most. Later I heard what was going on at the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce, the one my parents started. The executives were in a meeting because they already knew the 3 pillars were gone. They said once the news got out, other groups would come after the chamber. Some wanted to give up shares, channels, and profits to bigger factions in exchange for protection so the place wouldn't collapse. Others reminded everyone that I was the legal heir and held most of the shares, so any big moves needed my approval. A few said I was only 18 and didn't know how to run a chamber of commerce and talked about sidelining me so they could make decisions without me getting in the way. One of them mentioned I had awakened a special profession and killed a level 100 powerhouse right after. Later I heard the chamber executives didn't believe the stories about me killing level 100 powerhouses. They said it was probably some backup plan my parents left behind and that no academies had come to recruit me, so the rumors were exaggerated. They decided to come see me the next morning to get me to agree to give up some shares and channels in exchange for protection from bigger groups, and to let a temporary committee run the chamber while I stayed as heir in name only. If I refused, they planned to use the chamber rules to freeze my decision power or shut everything down. The next morning at breakfast, Steward Zhang and Zhang Xia were both there. Zhang Xia tried to get me to take half a day off and go out to eat to celebrate us both awakening. They were worried I was grinding too hard after everything that happened. I told them I was fine and clear-headed and would rest when I needed to. Right then, the nanny came in and said several high-level executives from the chamber had arrived and wanted to see me. The next morning, the chamber executives came to the villa. Chen Guangmao led them and started with fake condolences about my parents. I told them my parents weren't dead. Director Lin Man said the chamber couldn't run on hope and laid out their plan to sacrifice channels and profit shares for protection from bigger groups in the southern province, plus set up a temporary management committee to run things while I stayed legal heir in name only. I said that meant handing my parents' legacy to outsiders. Chen Guangmao said it was preserving strength because without top experts, we couldn't hold it anymore. I told them with me here, the chamber wouldn't collapse. Chen Guangmao laughed and said I was too young, that running a chamber was for 10 or 20 years from now. They tried to bribe Steward Zhang with a high-level crystal core, a potential potion, and a full set of silver archer gear for Zhang Xia if he persuaded me to go along. Zhang Xia smashed the box on the floor, told them to take their junk back, and said he'd never betray me no matter what. Steward Zhang stepped behind me and said my decision was his decision. Director Lin Man said if I didn't agree, they had other methods and it wouldn't be pretty. They talked about using the senior management joint meeting system and board agreements to take over. I smiled and said if we went to court as primary heir, I might win. They tried to guilt me about destroying the legacy my parents built. I told them in the end this is a world where strength does the talking. I stood up and told them since they thought I wasn't qualified to run the chamber, we'd settle it the simple way. In 5 days at the chamber headquarters, I'd fight everyone who refused to submit to me. If I lost, I'd never interfere with the chamber again, and they could do whatever they wanted. If I won, everyone from top to bottom would listen to me. They were stunned at first, then Chen Guangmao got excited and agreed right away. Lin Man said we needed a written agreement, so no one backed out later. We drafted it quickly and both sides signed. After they left, Uncle Zhang and Zhang Xia were worried. Uncle Zhang explained that level 200 professionals after the first advancement get at least 5 times more stats per level than before level 100, so the gap is huge and I was taking too big a risk. Zhang Xia still thought I could win since I already beat level 100s. I told them I don't fight unprepared battles and 5 days was enough. Then I grabbed my jacket and went to the profession center. Uncle Zhang sighed that I was too reckless and that losing might teach me how cruel the world really is. Zhang Xia kept hoping I'd win, so the chamber guys were driving off when Chen laughed hard and said heaven was really helping him because I suggested using combat to settle who owns the chamber. Lin smiled and said she thought it would take more work. An elder scoffed that young people like me think we're invincible after killing some Blood Wolf members just over level 100, but I only did it with my parents' protection and have no idea what a level 200 professional is like. Zhao frowned and told them not to be careless because I'm Lu Tianshong and Su Qingyu's son and might have trump cards. Chen waved it off and said, "So what if I have them? I can't use them 10 times, and this time we'll have all the high-level chamber professionals there anyway." They agreed to contact big chambers in other cities right away, so when I lose in 5 days, they can force the agreement through immediately, let the management committee take over, and activate the external protection deal at the same time so I can't back out. Chen said he'd call Wanbao about equipment channels, another elder would talk to Blackstone for strong people in exchange for some shares, and Lin would handle Tianhe for the potion workshop. I didn't take the chamber upper management seriously. It was just a temporary hurdle. What really mattered was the abyss rifts where my parents might have gone missing. I entered the Black Rock Volcano dungeon on Hell difficulty. The system said level 58 entry, recommended party of 8, scorching domain that burns you every minute and drains stamina 80% faster. I summoned my 10 money ghosts that copy my stats and told them to clear the field. They wiped out the level 62 lava hellhounds with 380,000 HP each, and I got non-stop experience. I leveled up 3 times fast and kept going all day until I reached level 75. It stays quick because every time I level my stats jump and the ghosts get stronger too, so they clear faster, which gives more experience faster, and it cycles even as the requirements get huge. Normal people level once every 10 days or 2 weeks at this stage, but I don't slow down much. After that I went home to rest and planned to continue tomorrow. Later I heard that at the City Lord's office, Ji told Han I cleared a level 75 dungeon. Han asked if it was me again and said the world feels abnormal. Ji said it's just me who's abnormal. Han said he felt sorry for the Fang Fang Chamber upper management because they can't imagine what kind of monster I am and are trying to carve up the chamber while my parents are gone instead of supporting me. Ji suggested leaking some info about my talent so they'd wise up and my takeover would go smoother. Han thought about it, then shook his head and said, "No." He said I'm being evaluated by the Heavenly Dragon and no one knows what they're looking for, so we can't interfere casually. So at the City Lord's office, Ji went quiet. Han said that whether I win or lose this duel is still a good chance for me to show what I can do. If we leak the news early and make the higher-ups back down, it might actually ruin my assessment. Ji nodded and said that makes sense. Han leaned back and said he also wants to see just how far this kid can go. Ji smiled wryly and said, "The Fang Fang Chamber has 4 level 200 powerhouses, and if they team up shamelessly when the time comes, I might not win, because the gap between level 200 and level 100 is just too big," Han said, "but we can't say for sure because nothing I've done since Awakening has been normal." Ji laughed and said, "That's true. The next day I kept grinding dungeons like a machine and reached level 88 by evening. The day after that I grinded until it was dark and hit level 99. I was exhausted, but told the administrator to open one more hell difficulty dungeon at level 99 entry called Blood Moon Altar. I cleared it in 40 minutes, got an SSS rating, and leveled straight to 100. The system said I reached the first class advancement cap and can't gain more experience until I complete the advancement quest. I decided to do the class advancement the next day, since the duel is the day after tomorrow. I put away my money ghosts and left through the portal. What I didn't know at the time was that two guys from Tianlong were standing above the clouds watching the profession center the whole time. The middle-aged man in the gray robe was shocked that I went from awakening to level 100 in just 6 days, and said even looking at the last 10,000 years of Dragon Kingdom history, I'm one of the fastest. He said Qinguanhai took 8 days even with full family resources, top teams, and max potions, while I soloed hell difficulty the entire time. He wanted me in his team after the training camp, but the man in black said I haven't passed his assessment yet. They talked about why the standards have to stay high. My growth is too fast, so if my character or mindset goes wrong, the threat I could become is way bigger than normal, and they can't lower the bar for talented people, or they might end up recruiting future disasters instead of guardians. The gray-robed man eventually agreed. The next morning, I went back to the Jiangcheng Profession Center. This time, I didn't go to the dungeon area. I walked straight to the Job Advancement Hall at the back. I stepped up to the counter. The staff member smiled and asked what I needed. I told him I was there to receive my first job advancement quest. He looked surprised because of how young I was. He explained the rules. He said you only get 3 attempts. If you fail all 3, you can never advance again. Each failure makes the next quest harder. He told me the first one is especially important because it affects your future growth a lot. Many people prepare for years, buying gear, learning skills, and getting ready mentally before they try. I just said, accept. He told me to place my hand on the big crystal. I walked over and pressed my palm against it. The crystal started shaking hard and gave off a bright golden light. A small crystal stone formed and dropped into my hand. Then the quest popped up in front of me. It was called Wealth Accumulation. I had to earn 10 million dragon coins in 24 hours. I couldn't use any of my existing money or assets. I couldn't take gifts or help from anyone, and every coin had to come from value I created myself. If I earned over 50 million, I could get S-rank evaluation, over 100 million for SS rank, and over 500 million for SSS rank. I asked the staff member what the different evaluations actually changed. He said a normal evaluation gives 5 times the growth after advancing. S-rank gives 6 times, SS rank 8 times, and SSS rank 10 times. He advised me not to take big risks just for a high evaluation. Most people only get normal. S-rank is already very rare, and in Zhongcheng only the 3 pillars had ever gotten SS rank on their first try. He had never heard of anyone getting SSS rank. I put the crystal stone away and told him I understood. Up above the city, the man in black and the middle-aged man in gray robe were watching. They pulled up my quest details on a screen in the clouds. After reading it, the man in gray froze for a moment and said, "Outrageous." The man in black stayed quiet, too. They had seen many difficult job change quests before, but they both thought mine was still way over the top. The middle-aged man in gray robe said, 10 million in 24 hours for the basic quest is doable. With how fast you can clear dungeons, farming materials, and equipment should get you there without much trouble. The real problem is the evaluation tiers. 50 million for S rank, 100 million for SS rank, 500 million for SSS rank. His mouth twitched as he spoke. He asked if the job change crystal had gone crazy, making an 18-year-old generate 500 million in one day without using existing assets or getting any help. The man in black answered calmly that the crystal doesn't make mistakes. The man in gray said he knew that, but the difficulty was still too high. Even if the two of them worked together at the same level, they probably couldn't reach the SSS evaluation, and even SS would be tough. The man in black thought about it and said the stronger the profession's potential, the harder the quest the crystal gives. The man in gray looked at the screen again and said the crystal must believe my potential is high enough to need a quest like this. He added that if I only finish the basic quest and get a normal evaluation, I can still advance, but for someone with my potential, it might limit my future growth a lot. A low first evaluation is like damaging your foundation. I had already left the profession center and was walking on the street. I didn't start right away. I needed to think first. 10 million for the basic goal wouldn't be hard, but I wanted SSS, which meant 500 million in 24 hours under all those restrictions. Farming dungeons was the obvious way. With my strength, I could clear level 100 Hellgrade dungeons easily. The boss drops are valuable, but even if I farmed non-stop for 24 hours, selling everything would probably only get me a bit over 100 million. That was still far from 500. I thought about checking the quest area in the profession center. Sometimes chambers of commerce post high-price acquisition quests for specific materials, and the payout can be much higher than normal selling. But even in the best case, I figured I could reach maybe 200 million at most. Still 300 short. Bringing other people to farm with me wouldn't work. My speed comes from my own movement, and they couldn't keep up. Plus the restrictions say no help or gifts, so the crystal probably wouldn't count it. I felt a headache. It wasn't that I couldn't fight the monsters. It was that one person wasn't fast enough. Then I thought, what if I could farm multiple dungeons at the same time? I have 10 money ghosts. They can move and fight independently. That means 11 units total, me plus the 10 ghosts. Each one could enter a different dungeon. I stopped walking for a second. The idea was crazy, but possible. Normal summoners can't send their summons into dungeons alone, but mine might be able to. I decided I should try it. I went back to the dungeon area in the Profession Center. Administrator Liu Cheng was at his desk. When he saw me, he straightened up and asked what dungeon I needed today. I asked him a question instead. I have 10 summoned creatures. Can they enter dungeons alone? He looked stunned and asked me to repeat it. Then he said that normally summons go in with the professional. He had never heard of anyone sending them in by themselves. He didn't know if it was possible, but we could try. I told him to open a level 90 Hellgrade dungeon first. We went to the entrance of the Black Wind Mine Cave. I summoned one money ghost, gave it a big bag for loot, and ordered it to enter, clear all monsters, and collect everything. Administrator Liu Cheng opened the portal. The money ghost walked straight in and disappeared. The panel showed the dungeon was running with the entering unit as my summoned creature. A message appeared saying no professional had entered, so I wouldn't get experience. I told him it didn't matter. I didn't need experience right now. Then I summoned the other 9 money ghosts. I had Liu Cheng open a separate level 90 Hellgrade dungeon for each of them. One by one, each money ghost with a bag entered its own dungeon. All 10 portals lit up at the same time. After that, I had him open one more dungeon for me. I stepped inside. Administrator Liu Cheng stayed at the console, staring at the 11 active dungeons. He looked completely stunned. After a while, he took out his communicator and called Captain Ji Shuning. When Captain Ji answered, Administrator Liu Cheng told him I had entered the secret realm again. Captain Ji said that was normal these days. Liu Cheng replied that this time it was different. Captain Ji asked, "How is it different?" I went into my dungeon, the Crimson Blood Demon Nest on Hell difficulty. The place was full of blood mist and weird walls. But I didn't focus on that. I closed my eyes and checked my connection with the 10 money ghosts. It was weak, but I could sense they were all moving forward fast through their own dungeons. I couldn't give them new orders, but they were strong enough to clear everything on their own. A bunch of Crimson Blood Demon spiders came at me. I sighed a bit because I had to kill them myself this time. I stomped the ground and charged straight in. I punched, kicked, and smashed them with raw power. For tougher ones and mini-bosses, I used money talks to blast through them with the Golden Torrent. I kept moving forward the whole time, killing and picking up the drops. It took a little over an hour. At the end, I hit the final boss, the Crimson Blood Mother Empress, with money talks and blew a hole through its chest. The nest collapsed. I picked up the Crimson Blood Mother Empress core that dropped, turned around, and stepped into the teleportation array. I came out of the dungeon. The 10 money ghosts were already waiting outside, each with a big bag full of materials and equipment. I opened the bags and took everything. The ghosts had taken some damage, so I dismissed them and summoned 10 new ones at full strength. I told Administrator Liu Cheng to continue. From then on, I just kept repeating the same thing. Go in, clear the dungeon, come out, collect the drops from the ghosts, dismiss them, summon fresh ones, and go again. Round after round. After 20 hours, I was really tired. My mind felt heavy. Administrator Liu Cheng suggested I take a break, but I said no, and kept going. At 8 in the morning the next day, with 1 hour left until the deadline, I stopped entering dungeons. I took all the materials and went to the task hall. I walked up to a window and told the staff I wanted to submit tasks. I asked them to show all material acquisition tasks for level 90 to 100. Then I started checking them one by one against what I had. I checked over 3,000 tasks. After I finished, I gave them my card number and told them to transfer the money there. I waved my hand and dumped all the materials on the floor next to the hall. It formed a big pile. The whole hall went quiet. I walked into the Profession Center and submitted all the tasks. Suddenly, everyone there stopped what they were doing. All the staff and professionals froze and stared at the huge pile of materials I dropped off. They looked completely blank. Someone asked, What is this? Who moved the dungeon warehouse here? I looked at the stunned staff and said, "Please call a few more people. Finish verifying this within half an hour, then transfer the money to my account." The guy snapped out of it, his voice shaking, and said yes. He hit the emergency button right away. Soon over a dozen more staff rushed in, and they all stood there shocked, too. I didn't stick around. I had already submitted the tasks, so I left to go sell the rest of the materials. Only after I walked out did the whole hall explode with noise behind me. They were shouting stuff like, "Holy crap, a mountain of materials, and over 3,000 tasks?" and asking who I was. I got in a car and headed to the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce. I figured I should keep the benefits inside the family. I sat in the back, closed my eyes for a bit. I was pretty tired after grinding dungeons nonstop for almost 24 hours, but I still had things to do. When we arrived, I walked into the big material acquisition store they own. A young clerk came up to greet me, but then he recognized me and froze. He called me young master and asked why I was there. I said, "Selling materials, a rather large quantity." He looked surprised, but told me to go to the storage area in the back. Once we got there, I waved my hand and dropped all the materials out. Crystal cores, beast horns, ores, equipment, boss cores, herbs, everything. The storage area filled up fast, about a third of it. The clerks just stood there staring with their eyes wide. One of them asked, "Young master, are all of these for sale?" I said yes. They quickly called the store manager and all the appraisers. Everyone got to work checking the pile. 10 minutes later, the manager came over, sweating, and told me the total at market price was 350 million dragon coins. I asked if they could settle it in one lump sum. He said yes, because these were high-level materials they needed urgently, and since I was selling to our own chamber, they'd give it priority. A few minutes later, 350 million hit my account. Right after that, the Profession Center finished verifying my tasks too, and sent another 227 million. Together it was over 570 million. That was more than enough for the SSS rating, and all of it came from materials I earned myself in the dungeons. No using family assets, no gifts, no help from anyone. It followed the rules completely. I felt the tension I'd been carrying for 24 hours finally ease up a little. I told them, "Let's go," and left the store. The manager and clerks just stood there watching me walk away. Later, one of them asked if they should report it. The manager said, of course. 350 million in one go wasn't a small thing. They passed the news up to the chamber's upper management. At that point, I didn't know it yet, but back at headquarters, a whole group of executives, including department head Chen Guangmao, director Lin Man, and several level 200 job changers, had gathered in the top floor conference hall. They were waiting, ready in case I showed up. Their plan was that if I came today, they would take full control of the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce. I went to the Job Advancement Hall at the Jiangcheng Profession Center. At headquarters, department head Chen Guangmao was sitting at the head of the conference table with some other executives. He checked the time and said Lu Fang should be arriving soon. An elder hoped I wouldn't back out. Director Linmon said even if I tried, it was too late because the agreement was already signed. If I didn't show up today, they could declare me in breach of contract and the management committee would take over the chamber. Chen Guangmao laughed a bit and said young people always pay the price for being arrogant. Then an assistant came in and whispered to Chen Guangmao that I had gone to one of their material shops and sold a batch for 350 million. Some people looked surprised at the amount. Director Lin Man asked where I got so many materials. An elder figured it was probably leftover inventory from my parents. They thought I was selling it last minute to buy items for the duel. Chen Guangmao said 350 million was a lot, but it wouldn't help me win, and even if I bought things, I wouldn't have time to get used to them. Everyone agreed external items were just external items. Meanwhile, I arrived at the Job Advancement Hall. It was busier than in the morning. The same staff member from yesterday saw me and stood up quickly. He asked if I was there to submit my job advancement quest. I said yes. I walked up to the big crystal and placed the quest crystal into it. The golden light inside was very dense. As soon as I put it in, the whole crystal started vibrating and a strong golden light burst out. It was much brighter than normal. The entire hall lit up like it was inside a sun. Beams shot through the roof into the sky and the building shook a little. Everyone in the hall was shocked. People were asking what was happening and if this was an SSS evaluation. The staff member said even SS rank wouldn't shine like this and realized it really was SSS. The hall went quiet for a moment, then everyone started talking. They couldn't believe someone got SSS on a first-turn job advancement in Jiangcheng. I didn't pay attention to them. I looked at the screen. It said the quest was completed with SSS evaluation. I advanced from Tycoon to 1-star Tycoon. The level cap was removed and I got a 10 times growth multiplier. I felt satisfied. All the work paid off. Then new skills appeared. One was road buying money. It lets me spend gold coins to open a path into any dungeon, secret realm, or closed area, no matter how locked down. The note said with money, even ghosts and gods make way. This meant I could now get into the Abyss Rift where my parents disappeared without waiting for high level or permissions. The second skill was life buying money. Spend gold coins to heal injuries, restore stamina, mental energy, or life status for myself or others. The more serious the problem, the more it costs. This filled the recovery weakness I had. Before, after long grinding, I could only rest. Now I had a direct way to recover, and it could help others too. After seeing the skills, I felt sharper. The tiredness from before was gone. Everyone in the hall was still staring and talking about the SSS first turn. I ignored the looks and left. While that was going on, some people above the clouds saw the golden pillar of light from the Job Advancement Hall. A middle-aged man in gray robes laughed hard and said I had actually succeeded. The man in black smiled too. They knew how hard the task was. 24 hours, 500 million dragon coins, all earned by myself with no family assets or help. They said I was even more impressive than they expected. The news of the SSS First Advancement spread fast from the Profession Center. People inside the hall were shouting about it. The golden light shooting into the sky. A young guy around 18 or 19 getting SSS on his first job advancement. It went out to all the teams, chambers of commerce, families, and forums in Jiangcheng. Within 10 minutes, the upper echelon of the city all knew. Everyone understood what it meant. If I didn't die, I had the potential to become someone on the level of the 3 pillars, or higher. A lot of people started asking who I was. Back at the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce headquarters in the top floor conference hall, department head Chen Guangmao and the others got the news too. At first they were talking about how to handle me when I arrived. When they heard about the SSS rating, the whole hall went quiet. Chen Guangmao stood up and asked if it was confirmed. The assistant said yes, and that many people saw it with their own eyes. Director Lin Man asked who it was. The assistant said they didn't know yet, only that it was a young professional. People in the hall got excited. Someone said if they could recruit a person like that into the chamber, it would solve their current problems and secure the next few decades. Chen Guangmao's eyes lit up, and he ordered them to investigate immediately, no matter the cost. He said they should offer resources, status, and shares to bind that person to the chamber. Everyone agreed it would give them a strong card when dealing with other forces. They got more and more excited and almost forgot about waiting for me. Chen Guangmao told them to handle it after today's matter was settled first. At the city lord's mansion, Han Qianshan and Captain Ji Shuneng were about to leave for the chamber when they heard the news. Captain Ji Shuneng told Han Qianshan that an SSS first advancement had just happened. Han Qianshan paused, then laughed and guessed it was me. They both laughed. Han Qianshan said I always managed to surprise people. They decided to head to the chamber anyway to see the executives' faces once they learned the truth. Captain Ji Shuneng joked that they were probably still trying to find and recruit that SSS genius. Soon after, their car arrived at the headquarters. The staff at the entrance got nervous when they saw the city lord and Captain Ji Shuneng. The news reached the conference hall quickly, and Chen Guangmao, Director Lin Man, and the others came down to welcome them personally. Chen Guangmao greeted them respectfully and asked why they had come. Han Qianshan told him not to be nervous. Chen Guangmao and Director Lin Man wondered if they had come to support me in the challenge today. Director Lin Man asked directly if they were there for the young master's matter. I arrived at the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce headquarters. Han Qianshan told department head Chen Guangmao that yes, he was there for my matter, but he wasn't going to interfere. He said since we already had an agreement, they should just follow it. He was only there to watch. Captain Ji Shuneng added that they wouldn't favor either side as long as no laws were broken and no one died. Chen Guangmao and the others relaxed when they heard that. Chen Guangmao welcomed them and led them inside. Captain Ji Shuneng whispered that it seemed they still didn't know it was me. Han Qianshan said those who should know would know soon enough. A lot of important people from Jiangsheng showed up at the spectator hall that day. Steward Zhang and Jiang Xia came, both looking worried. Wang Yiqing was there too, sitting in a corner. He had been having similar troubles with his family since his father went missing. He wanted to see if I could hold on to what my parents left behind. People in the hall were talking. Some said I probably wouldn't come, or that even if I did, it was useless because the chamber had 4 level 200 professionals. Others said I was too impulsive and should have used legal channels instead. Some felt it was understandable after what happened to my parents. Chen Guangmao smiled when he heard them. Director Lin Man checked the time and said I would be there soon. Chen Guangmao told everyone to get ready. As soon as I arrived, they should release their auras according to the agreement. One of the level 200 professionals asked if it was necessary. Chen Guangmao said even a lion uses full strength on a rabbit. Then I walked into the spectator hall. I was alone, wearing a simple black combat suit. The hall got quiet as I entered. I looked around at everyone, then at Chen Guangmao and the executives, and asked if everyone was here. Chen Guangmao smiled and said yes, everyone who should be there was, and that after today the future of the chamber would be decided. Right after he spoke, the high-level professionals on both sides opened their eyes and released their auras all at once. Dozens of strong pressures came toward me, especially from the level 200 ones. The air felt heavy and the floor shook a little. Some spectators turned pale and stepped back. A few people muttered that it was shameless to pressure me with auras before the duel even started. Jiang Xia got upset and said they were using underhanded tactics. Steward Zhang held him back. I stood there and looked at them. I took a step forward into the hall. The pressure from all those high-level professionals hit me, but it didn't slow me down. I kept walking at a steady pace until I reached the front. I stopped and looked at Chen Guangmao and the others. I asked if that was their way of welcoming me. Chen Guangmao smiled and said I had misunderstood. They just wanted to see if I was qualified to accept the challenge today. I asked if they saw clearly now. An elder next to him snorted and told me not to get cocky. He said being able to withstand the aura didn't mean I could win, and that everyone here was stronger than I thought. I asked, and so? Chen Guangmao raised his hand to stop the elder and stood up. He reminded me of the agreement. If I won, the whole chamber would obey my orders. If I lost, I would no longer interfere with its operations. I said that was correct. Director Lin Man said that to avoid damaging relations, they wouldn't send a level 200 professional first. They would send Zhou Yue, the deputy captain of the security department, who was level 150. If I couldn't get past him, there would be no need to continue. Zhou Yue stood up. He was a burly, middle-aged man in heavy armor with a big war saber on his back. He walked to the center of the arena and looked at me with some condescension. He said he wouldn't take my life, only make sure I couldn't act. He drew his saber and said it was good for young people to have arrogance, but when it went too far, it was courting death. He said he would teach me a lesson on behalf of the president and his wife. I told him he was not worthy of mentioning my parents. Zhou Yue's expression darkened. He said it seemed I wouldn't give up until I saw the coffin. Then his aura erupted and he charged at me with his saber raised. I raised my hand and summoned Money Ghost. A dark golden figure appeared in front of me. Zhou Yue didn't stop. He slashed down hard. Money Ghost caught the saber with one hand, then punched him in the chest with the other. The armor caved in, bones cracked, and Zhou Yue flew backward into the barrier. He hit the ground, spat out blood, and his saber flew out of his hand. He lay there with his chest collapsed and his aura gone. The punch had almost killed him. The whole hall went silent. People were shocked that a level 150 was defeated in one move by my summoned creature, and that I hadn't even moved myself. Some realized I had held back on purpose, so he didn't die. Chen Guangmao's smile froze. Director Lin Man's eyes narrowed. The level 200 professionals looked at me seriously for the first time. I stood behind Money Ghost and looked at Chen Guangmao and the others. Next. Department head Chen Guangmao's smile disappeared completely. Director Lin Man stared at Money Ghost with clear shock. Security head Zhao Qiming's breathing paused. They realized they didn't actually understand my strength at all. Everything they had assumed was wrong. I looked at them and asked if no one else was coming. I reminded them that they had said I wasn't qualified to control the chamber. I asked if now no one was even willing to step forward. Chen Guangmao's face darkened. He knew they couldn't back down in front of everyone. He took a breath and said that since my strength was beyond what they expected, they would start the formal matches. Director Lin Man nodded. The other two level 200 professionals stood up too. There were now 4 of them: Chen Guangmao, Director Lin Man, Wu Zhao, level 207 Array Rune Master, and Shen Qinghan, level 211 Blade Shadow Controller. People in the hall started talking loudly. They said it was shameless for 4 level 200s to attack me together, but others pointed out that it showed how strong I was, since one summoned creature had already forced this. Chen Guangmao said continuing one by one would waste time. Director Lin Man added that since the agreement was for me to challenge everyone who opposed me, all 4 of them fighting at once didn't break the rules. She said it wasn't too late for me to admit defeat. I looked at the 4 of them and said they were just afraid. I pointed out that a moment ago they acted like they had already won, and now 4 of them had to come out together. Wu Zhao said verbal provocation was useless. Shen Qinghan said my summoned creature was strong, but thinking one could beat 4 level 200s was naive. I told them who said I only had 1. I raised my hand and summoned more. One after another, dark golden figures appeared until there were 10 money ghosts standing in a row in front of me. The whole hall erupted. Everyone was shocked that I could summon 10 of them. Chen Guangmao gritted his teeth and shouted to attack. The 4 of them moved at the same time. Chen Guangmao covered himself in metallic armor. Director Lin Man cast buffs on them. Shen Qinghan sent out 6 flying blades. Wu Zhao started setting up formation runes. The 10 money ghosts charged forward like silent warriors. When they collided, the protective barrier shook hard. Chen Guangmao blocked too, but was pushed back. Shen Qinghan's blades cut them, but couldn't stop them. Director Lin Man tried slowing and weakening them, but their attributes were too high. Wu Zhao's formation got crushed before it could finish. In the end, the 4 level 200 professionals were being suppressed and beaten back by the 10 money ghosts. I just stood in the same spot the whole time. Han Qianshan smiled. Captain Ji Shuneng said quietly that this was the person chosen by Tianlong and mentioned the SSS rating. I stood there while the fight continued. Chen Guangmao and the other 3 got more and more alarmed as they fought the money ghosts. They tried to focus fire on one. Director Lin Man put weakening marks on it. Shen Qinghan sliced at its joints with her blades, and Chen Guangmao punched its head. They finally destroyed one money ghost. Right after it disappeared, I raised my hand and summoned a new one in its place, fully recovered. Then I used life-buying money on the other 9. Golden light fell on them and healed all their wounds in a few seconds. It only cost a few thousand gold coins, which was cheaper than resummoning. The 4 of them looked like their minds were about to collapse. Chen Guangmao called for Wu Zhao. They told him to set up a formation while the others held the money ghosts back. Director Lin Man used big control skills, and Shen Qinghan restrained them with her blades. Wu Zhao retreated and created a large formation called Spirit Trapping Contract Severing Formation. Silver chains bound the 10 money ghosts, and a gray light curtain cut off part of my connection to them. Their movement slowed down a lot. The 4 finally got some breathing room. They were all injured and tired. Wu Zhao told me the formation had trapped my summoned creatures and severed the connection, so I had no chance of winning. Chen Guangmao and Director Lin Man told me to concede. They said I had already proven myself and that we could talk properly, but today's duel should end here. I looked at the trapped money ghosts and told Wu Zhao it was not a bad formation. Then I said who told him the formation had actually trapped them. I raised my hand and used road buying money. It cost 1 million gold coins. A golden road pattern appeared and pierced straight through the formation, connecting to the money ghosts. The formation cracked and then completely collapsed. Wu Zhao spat blood and staggered back. The 10 money ghosts were freed and charged forward again. The 4 level 200s were now being pushed back even harder. Chen Guangmao was retreating under attack from 3 of them. Shen Qinghan could barely protect herself. Director Lin Man switched to full defense. Wu Zhao was suffering from the backlash and couldn't set up another strong formation. Shen Qinghan said they couldn't continue like this and suggested attacking me directly. If they controlled me, the summoned creatures would stop. The others looked at me. I was still standing in the same spot with no money ghosts guarding me. Chen Guangmao suddenly spoke up. No! Chen Guangmao told the others not to attack me directly. He said I had been too calm from the very beginning, when the money ghosts were fighting, when the formation sealed them, and even now, I hadn't changed. He thought it didn't look like a weakness. It looked like a trap. The four of them felt a chill and grew heavier in their hearts. They didn't dare gamble. Chen Guangmao got knocked back by a punch from one money ghost and spat blood. He raised his hand and shouted, "Stop!" I raised my hand slightly and the 10 money ghosts stopped at once and stood still. Chen Guangmao looked at me, breathing hard. His face looked terrible, but he lowered his head and said they conceded. Director Linman, Wu Zhao, and Shen Qinghan also conceded. They knew continuing was pointless. Even if they won by attacking me directly, they would lose all face after what everyone had seen. The whole spectator hall went quiet for a second, then exploded. People were shouting that 4 level 200s had conceded, that I had won alone, and that I was only 18. Jiangxia jumped up yelling that I won. Steward Zhang straightened his back. Wang Yiqing stared at me with red eyes. Han Qianshan smiled and said, "Good lad." Captain Jishu Neng said the landscape of Jiangcheng was going to change. I said not very loudly. From now on, I have the final say in the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce. All the executives stayed silent. With 4 level 200s conceding, they had no more excuses. Then someone in the stand suddenly stood up holding a communicator and said loudly that the SSS rank First Advancement Professional from the Profession Center was me. The hall went quiet again, then erupted even louder. People were saying I had awakened less than a week ago, reached level 100, got SSS on First Advancement, and then forced 4 level 200s to surrender. They called it absurd and said I was a monster Jiangcheng had never seen before. The way many important people looked at me changed completely. Wang Yiqing stood there in a daze and muttered that the SSS person was also me. He laughed bitterly. Chen Guangmao and the others looked like they had been struck by lightning. Director Linman's face went pale. Not long ago, they had been in the conference hall saying they must find that SSS genius at any cost, recruit him, give him shares and resources, and bind him to the chamber. Now they realized that person was me, the heir they had tried to push out and had just fought against. I stood there and looked at them. Department head Chen Guangmao's face went pale. He lowered his head and said in a hoarse voice that they were wrong. After he spoke, the other high-level executives lowered their heads one by one and admitted they were wrong. They said they were blinded by greed and were willing to accept any punishment. I told them that from today on, all decision-making power in the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce would return to my hands. All the shares they held would also be voided and returned to me. They accepted it bitterly. I continued. I said the original affairs of each department would continue to operate as usual. They would keep their positions and remain responsible for what they were in charge of. The chamber could not fall into chaos. Potion workshop, equipment trading, material acquisition, security system, everything would stay the same. They were all stunned. They had expected me to remove them completely. I looked at them and said everyone here was a veteran of the chamber. For today's matter, I would only give them one chance. In the future, whoever harbored thoughts they shouldn't would not get off as easily as just admitting defeat and losing shares. The 10 money ghosts stood silently behind me as I spoke. Chen Guangmao swallowed hard, bowed his head, and said he was willing to die for me from now on. Director Lin Man, security head Zhao Qiming, Wu Zhao, Shen Qinghan, and all the other executives also expressed that their departments would obey my orders. This time they were truly convinced. Steward Zhang stood in the crowd with tears in his eyes. He said I had truly grown up and handled it like my father, only steadier. Jiangxia was excited and said he knew I was capable. The big shots in the spectator stands had complicated expressions. They said I had good temperament and that my future was limitless. Above the clouds, the middle-aged man in gray robes said I had courage, strategy, emotion, and righteousness. He asked the man in black what else he was picking about. The man in black said there was no need to pick anymore. He said I had passed the assessment. Han Qianshan and Captain Jishu Neng were about to come forward to congratulate me when they both received messages. Their expressions changed. They said there was a clue about the mole and left quickly. As Han Qianshan passed me, he patted my shoulder and said, "Well done." The other guests came up one by one to congratulate me. They said the chamber was stable now, that I was young and promising, and that we should cooperate in the future. Their attitudes were much warmer than before. After they left, I knew that from today on, my name would carry different weight in Jiangcheng's upper circles. Soon the outsiders all left. Only the internal people of the chamber remained. I sat down in the main seat, the position that used to belong to my parents. No one dared to question it anymore. I looked at Uncle Zhang. Uncle Zhang, from now on, you'll coordinate the daily management of the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce. He was surprised, but I said he had worked with my parents for many years, and I trusted him. He would watch over the department heads while they kept handling their own operations. He agreed. Chen Guangmao and the others said they would cooperate fully. I told everyone that strength was the real foundation. If I didn't have power, I wouldn't be sitting here. That's why I wouldn't spend all my time on chamber business. I needed to keep raising my strength. The chamber would provide resources, channels, and intelligence. Uncle Zhang would manage daily affairs, and they would do their jobs. They all answered firmly with no questions. Then everything in the hall suddenly froze. Uncle Zhang stayed bowed. Everyone else stopped moving. I summoned 10 money ghosts. A calm voice said, "No need to be nervous. We just stopped them temporarily. Some things aren't for too many ears." I turned. 2 men had appeared. Fu Yun in gray robes and Instructor Lu Chen in black, both from Heavenly Dragon. They explained that Heavenly Dragon was the Dragon Kingdom's top special force, gathering the best geniuses in the country. Normal people, even strong ones from Zhangcheng or the 5 great academies, usually couldn't qualify. They said they had been watching me since the Blood Wolf incident. Then Instructor Lu Chen said I had passed the assessment and they were inviting me to join. I didn't accept immediately. I said I had my own things to do, mainly finding my parents in the Abyss Rift. Instructor Lu Chen said I was mistaken. Heavenly Dragon was the fastest place to level up in the whole kingdom. He explained that Zhangcheng's dungeons would soon become too inefficient for me. I stayed silent. He was right. I looked at them. Fu Yun said Heavenly Dragon was different. They controlled more and better dungeons of the same level. The rewards were much higher. One run in a top dungeon there could give over 10 times the experience and drops compared to normal ones. He added that members weren't stuck doing missions in a base all day. They wanted people who could grow, so there were plenty of chances to go to the front lines and even the Rift battlefield. That would actually help me find my parents faster. They also gave members a lot of free time as long as I followed the rules and didn't betray the country or leak secrets. I was tempted. It matched what I wanted. Then I asked if there was a welcome gift. Fu Yun laughed hard and said I knew how to bargain. Instructor Lu Chen showed a strange expression but didn't argue. He took out a plain-looking gray-white egg the size of a fist. It had fine moving patterns on the shell. He said it was an unformed pet egg plus 3 skill points. I got excited. Skill points were extremely rare. I had never seen any before. They explained that this pet egg was special. It had no fixed type and would evolve into the best pet for my class and power system. The potential was very high, especially for a hidden class like mine. A good pet could grow with me long term, unlike summoned creatures. I took the egg. It vibrated slightly in my hand, like it sensed me. I said I would join Heavenly Dragon. Instructor Lu Chen gave me the 3 skill points right away. The notification appeared and I received them. Then I asked about Jiangcheng. They said after 1 day Lu Chen would take me away. I asked who would guard the city. Instructor Lu Chen said they would send a level 400 class changer to serve as the new pillar for Jiangcheng temporarily. I thanked him for that. Fu Yun said there was a small issue in a nearby city, but I didn't need to worry. My job was to handle my personal affairs in the 1 day I had. They disappeared. Time in the hall started moving again. No one noticed anything. I stood there with the pet egg in my storage space and 3 new free skill points. I went back to the Lu family villa and sat on the bed in my room. I opened my storage space and took out the unformed pet egg. A prompt appeared saying it was hatchable if I fed it gold coins. I wasn't surprised. It matched my God of Wealth class. I started feeding it. Each time it took 100,000 gold coins. After the first 1,000,000, it only glowed a little brighter. After 2,000,000, it got a bit warm. After 5,000,000, it swayed slightly. I kept going even though it hurt. At 10,000,000, 20, 30, the patterns on the egg got brighter. At 40,000,000, a small crack appeared. At 50,000,000, the egg finally shattered. A small, fluffy orange kitten came out. It was palm-sized with a faint golden copper coin pattern on its forehead. It looked at me, meowed, then jumped onto my shoulder and rubbed against my neck. I picked it up and we stared at each other. Then its information appeared. It was called Lucky Cat. Its first ability was wealth recruitment. Once a day it could get me some gold coins, and the amount depended on how strong my commercial forces were. The second ability was treasure hunting. It could sense high-value resources nearby. I tried wealth recruitment right away. The kitten waved its paw and I got 1,000,000 gold coins. My mood improved immediately. 50,000,000 gold coins was expensive, but this was worth it. It gave me a stable way to get gold coins, and the treasure hunting would be useful in dungeons too. I rubbed its head and said, "Since you can bring in wealth, I'll call you Little Orange Cat from now on." I sat in my room with Little Orange Cat on my shoulder. It meowed and flicked its tail like it agreed with the name. I told it that whether we get rich in the future would depend on it. It looked like it took the job for granted. This made me think bigger about the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce. It wasn't just about protecting my parents' legacy anymore. I wanted to grow it into a real foundation for my God of Wealth class. The bigger my business became, the more gold coins Little Orange Cat could bring in daily. That would help me grind dungeons and get stronger, which in turn would let me protect and expand the chamber even more. It was a good cycle. I placed Little Orange Cat on the table, but it jumped right back onto my shoulder. I didn't bother moving it again. I opened my skill panel and used the 3 free skill points. I added 1 point to life buying money and upgraded it to level 2. Now it could also remove abnormal statuses. That was very useful for dungeons. I put the other 2 points into Money Makes the Devil Mill and upgraded it to level 3. The max number of money ghosts stayed at 10, and they still inherited 150% of my attributes, but now each one gained a skill slot to learn other profession skills. I decided to give them ranged abilities first to fix their main weakness. I was about to head out and continue leveling up when my communicator vibrated. It was Wang Yixing. I answered. He sounded hoarse and said he wanted to ask me for a favor. He wanted protection for the Wang family Chamber of Commerce. He knew the request was presumptuous and that I didn't owe him anything, but he was willing to pay the price. He offered deep cooperation and to give 1/4 of the Wang family Chamber of Commerce's channels to the Fangfeng Chamber of Commerce. I told him straight up that 1/4 wasn't enough. I wanted at least half. He got tense and said half was too much. The people inside the Wang family Chamber of Commerce would never agree to give up that many channels. I just said that was his problem, not mine. Then I explained the situation to him. After his father disappeared, the Wang family wasn't the same. The executives and partners no longer treated him like the real heir. If he didn't act now, he could lose everything. He thought about it and finally agreed to half, but he warned me there would be strong opposition inside the family. I told him to gather all the high-level executives tonight, lay out the deal, and write down the names of anyone who refused. Tomorrow morning, I would go to the Wang Family Chamber of Commerce myself and personally deal with those who didn't want to cooperate. He thanked me. I said no need. This was just a deal. After the call, I went straight to the Profession Center and spent the whole afternoon running level 100 Hell difficulty dungeons. I cleared the same one 4 times. When I finished the last boss, I hit level 101. All my stats jumped by 1,000 each, now sitting at 11,950 across Strength, Agility, Constitution, and Spirit. It felt good at first, but then I realized how slow the leveling had become. 4 full Hell runs just for 1 level. I asked for a level 101 dungeon, but Administrator Lu Qing said they didn't have any. In Zhangcheng, there were no dungeons between 101 and 104. The next one started at 105, so I just told him to keep setting up more level 100 Hell dungeons for me. That evening, I was still in the Profession Center grinding level 100 Hell dungeons. Meanwhile, over at the Wang Family Chamber of Commerce headquarters, Wang Yixing called a meeting with all the high-level executives. He sat in the main seat, his father's old spot, and told them he had decided to seek my protection. In exchange, they would merge half their channels into my Fangfeng Chamber of Commerce. The 2 sides would work together from then on, with me providing protection. As soon as he said that, everyone exploded. They said half the channels was too much, that it was the foundation the Wang family built over many years, and they couldn't just hand it over to an outsider. One senior guy, Wang Minghai, slammed the table and said he didn't agree. Others added that even though I was strong, I wouldn't stay in Zhangcheng forever to protect them, and that Wang Yixing was being too impulsive. Wang Yixing could see they were mostly worried about losing their own interests. Then suddenly there was a huge explosion in the distance. Right after that, the city alarm went off across Zhangcheng. Red warning lights started flashing everywhere. Everyone in the meeting got shocked and wondered if it was a monster invasion. The 3 level 200 powerhouses from the Wang family left immediately to check it out. The meeting stopped, and the rest of them followed emergency procedures and went into the underground shelter. What actually happened was that the Vice City Lord, Zhou Chenghai, had betrayed the city. Han Qianshan and Captain Ji Shuneng confronted him at his residence. He admitted the Bloodwolf Society had captured his wife and son, so he helped them by leaking information and tampering with dungeon nodes. When they told him to surrender, he activated some array, blew himself up, and corrupted the level 205 Black Abyss Beast Nest dungeon. Monsters started pouring out into the city. He wanted to take everyone down with him. By the time the Wang family powerhouses got there, the east side of the city had turned into a battlefield. All the strong professionals above level 200 in Zhangcheng had shown up. Skills and explosions were lighting up the whole night sky. That evening I was still grinding dungeons in the Profession Center. Meanwhile, on the east side of the city, the Vice City Lord's residence was half destroyed. A scarlet rift had opened and hordes of corrupted abyss monsters were pouring out. Giant wolves with bone spurs, 4-armed apes, and flying ones spitting black liquid. Zhangcheng's professionals formed a defensive line, but the monsters were too strong and violent. The line was slowly collapsing. Han Qianshan and Captain Ji were fighting hard at the front, but without a pillar they could barely hold on. Then a level 300 boss, the abyss-corrupted Bone Beast King, crawled out. It smashed through the defenders and sent Han Qianshan flying. Everyone fell into despair. Just then an old man in a dark cyan robe descended from the sky. He pointed one finger, tapped lightly, and the level 300 boss instantly shattered into dust. With one wave of his hand, he wiped out most of the monster tide. He said calmly, "Qin Zhenyue, sent here as Zhangcheng's new pillar, level 400. The whole battlefield exploded in shock. All the high-ranking people from the families and chambers of commerce rushed forward to greet him and offer their full support. He turned to Han Qianshan and asked, "Where is Lu Fang?" He didn't ask about the city defense situation, didn't ask about the rift, and didn't even mention the traitor Zhou Chenghai. His first question was only about me. Han Qianshan was surprised, but answered that I was probably still inside a dungeon leveling up after finishing my Chamber of Commerce business for the day. Qin Zhenyu had just nodded and then asked where my house was. When Han Qianshan offered to hold a welcome reception for him at the city lord's mansion first and call me over later, Qin Zhenyu refused. He said no need, he would go to my home directly and wait for me there. His voice was calm but left no room for discussion. A level 400 pillar choosing to go wait at my house in person. That shocked everyone around. People started whispering immediately. They realized this wasn't a normal assignment. Qin Zhenyu probably didn't come to Jiangcheng for the city itself. He came because of me. Someone even said out loud that the government must have transferred him here specifically for Lu Fang. About an hour later, back at the Wang family Chamber of Commerce headquarters, they were still in their meeting. Wang Yiqing was sitting in the main seat when the three most powerful executives suddenly switched sides completely. The head of security said he fully supported Yixing and that the chamber should stay under the direct Wang family line. Another strong guy said they would cooperate unconditionally with whatever Yixing decided. The woman in black armor added that anyone who tried to sideline Yixing again would have to deal with her first. The executives who had been planning to oppose Wang Yiqing and take more power for themselves turned pale. They quickly started agreeing to everything, merging the channels, reorganizing the chamber, and giving Yixing full control. No one dared to object anymore. They all knew what had happened that night. A level 400 pillar had arrived and gone straight to wait at my house. That single fact changed everything for them. They were scared that if they went against Wang Yiqing now, it would be the same as going against me. Wang Yiqing himself was sitting there feeling a bit dazed by how fast it all turned around. He realized I hadn't even needed to show up. Just the news about Qin Zhenyu was enough to solve his biggest problem. At exactly 8 p.m., I finally walked out of the dungeon through the teleportation array. Administrator Liu Cheng was waiting for me right outside. I checked my panel and saw I had only reached level 103 after grinding the whole day. I sighed a bit and said it was pretty slow. Administrator Liu Cheng looked shocked. He reminded me I had just done my first turn that morning, went from level 100 to 103 in one day, and that was actually crazy fast for anyone in Jiangcheng. Most people take weeks or even months to get one level after the first turn. He asked if I was unhappy. I told him no, it just felt slow to me. Then he said Director Ji had asked him to wait for me because the new city pillar had arrived. It was a level 400 powerhouse named Qin Zhenyu, and he was waiting for me at my house right now. I was surprised Tianlong had sent someone so strong so quickly. I didn't waste time and told him to take me home. The car was already ready. When I got to the villa, Uncle Zhang was waiting outside. He told me Senior Qin was in the living room. I walked in and saw the old man sitting there in a dark Taiyan robe, drinking tea. He looked calm and steady, like a mountain. We greeted each other. He introduced himself as Qin Zhenyu, sent to be Jiangcheng's new pillar. I cupped my hands and said I had heard of him before from my parents. He had guarded the northern frontier for many years and fought in big rift battles. He looked at me with appreciation and said heroes come from the young. Being 18 with an SSS rank first turn was great for Jiangcheng. I said he was too kind. Then his voice got softer and he told me I could go to Tianlong without worrying. He would guard Jiangcheng for me. As long as he was here, the city wouldn't fall into chaos. He said he was old now and couldn't fight on the front line anymore, but protecting a city was something he could still do for the Dragon Kingdom. I thanked him seriously and said I would leave Jiangcheng in his hands. Right then, he coughed a couple times. I noticed a strange gray color flash across his face. I asked if he was injured. He said it was an old problem from the front line, residual abyssal corrosion from fighting an abyssal lord years ago. Even level 500 healers couldn't fully cure it, only suppress the symptoms. I thought for a moment. After my life-buying money skill reached level 2, it could clear abnormal statuses. I told him I could try to fix it. He was surprised but didn't refuse. He warned me not to get my hopes up since I was only first turn. I said it was worth a try anyway. I walked up to him, raised my hand, and activated life-buying money. A message popped up saying it would cost 3 million gold coins to clear the high-level abyssal corrosion. It was expensive, but I figured it was worth it for a level 400 pillar who had protected so many people before. I confirmed it. A pale golden light like flowing coins poured out from my palm onto him. His calm expression suddenly changed. He clearly felt the abyssal corrosion in his body starting to come out. The gray-black energy was pulled straight out of his flesh, meridians, and bones by the golden light. He looked down and saw the corruption leaving his fingertips and disappearing. When the golden light faded, Qin Zhenyu stood there quietly for a long time. Then he checked his body and realized the corrosion that had troubled him for many years was completely gone. He looked at me with shock and asked if I had really cured it. Uncle Zhang was stunned too. He couldn't believe I fixed an injury that even level 500 healers couldn't remove. Qin Zhenyu bowed to me seriously and thanked me. He said I didn't understand how much that wound had held him back all these years. It weakened him every time he used his power and forced him to retire from the front lines. I told him there was no need to bow. He said what I cured wasn't just his injury, but also removed the last regret of his life. Then he smiled and said he had been thinking about what gift to give me. Now he knew what to do. He took out an old dark gold medal engraved with the Dragon Kingdom's emblem. It was the highest honor he received after the Northern Rift campaign. He said he wasn't giving it to me just for the honor, but also because it contained a one-time defensive skill that could block an attack from a level 500 powerhouse. I tried to refuse because it was too valuable and was his life-saving trump card, but he insisted and put it in my hand. He said he would be guarding Jiangcheng from now on, so he didn't need it anymore. I was going to Tianlong and would face more dangerous places, so it would be more useful with me. He told me to accept it as a meeting gift from an elder and as the expectation of an old soldier. I stayed silent for a few seconds, then put the medal away and bowed to him. I thanked him and said I would remember this gift. He smiled and said he was the one who should be thankful. After that, Qin Zhenyu didn't stay long. Once the corrosion was gone, he looked much more energetic, like he had become decades younger. He left the villa with strong steps and disappeared into the night. Uncle Zhang stood beside me and said quietly that a person like Senior Qin deserved respect. I nodded. With Qin Zhenyu guarding Jiangcheng and Uncle Zhang managing the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce, I felt much more at ease about leaving the city. I wouldn't have to worry too much about things back home. Then my communicator rang. It was Wang Yiqing. He said the matter with the Wang Family Chamber of Commerce was already settled. I was surprised it went so fast. He explained that news about Qin Zhenyu had spread. Everyone knew the new level 400 pillar had arrived and went straight to my house. Because of that, the high-level executives suddenly changed their attitude and stopped opposing him. I told him that was good and there was no need for me to go there tomorrow. Wang Yixing sounded a bit speechless for a moment, then gave a bitter laugh and said he found it harder and harder to understand me. I said it was normal. I told him to take firm control of the Wang Family Chamber of Commerce and contact Uncle Zhang directly for future cooperation. Uncle Zhang would handle overall coordination for the Fangfang side. Wang Yiqing agreed seriously. I gave him a few simple instructions and hung up. Uncle Zhang, who was listening, said he would personally handle the connection with the Wang family. I thanked him for the trouble. He replied that it was his duty to guard the chamber for me. That night, many people in Jiangcheng couldn't sleep well. The Fangfang Chamber of Commerce had been reshuffled, a new level 400 pillar had arrived, and the Wang family's attitude had changed completely. One thing after another made the upper class realize that a new era had begun in the city. That morning, I woke up and poked Little Orange Cat. I told it time to work. It waved its paw lazily and used wealth recruitment. I got 1.3 million gold coins. That was up from 1 million yesterday, thanks to the Wang family channels. I rubbed its head and said it did well, so extra food today. It perked up right away. I finished handling the last few matters at home. Uncle Zhang followed me quietly most of the morning, then finally asked if going to the special forces would be dangerous. I said there might be danger, but there would be more opportunities. He nodded and told me my parents would be proud. They always wanted me to walk my own path. He just asked me to protect myself. I said I would. At noon, Instructor Lu Chen appeared outside the villa. He said before we leave, we needed to see someone. We teleported straight to a courtyard behind the city lord's mansion. It was Senior Qin. Instructor Lu Chen told me Qin Zhenyue had been his university teacher. When we entered, Qin Zhenyue was practicing in the yard. He looked much better than last night. He greeted Lu Chen casually, calling him a stiff brat. Lu Chen showed him respect anyway. Qin Zhenyue asked me how I slept and if I was sad to leave home. I said it was fine. Then Lu Chen noticed his injury was completely gone and looked shocked. Qin Zhenyu told him I had healed it last night with a skill. Lu Chen asked if I could really clear high-level abyssal corrosion. I said I had a skill for abnormal statuses. Lu Chen thanked me personally for healing his teacher. I said it was nothing. Senior Qin was a hero who had protected Jiangcheng. Qin Zhenyue gave me some advice about Sky Dragon and told me not to disgrace Jiangcheng. I promised I wouldn't. Before we left, Qin Zhenyue said he would wait for me to become a super powerhouse one day. We said our goodbyes, and Instructor Lu Chen took me and flew straight up into the sky. That same moment, the wind roared in my ears. I felt nothing under my feet as Jiangcheng shrank fast below us. The city lord's mansion, the profession center, the Fangfang Chamber of Commerce headquarters, and my family villa. All the places I grew up with turned into blurry shapes in just a few seconds. Instructor Lu Chen had some kind of spatial barrier around us, so I didn't feel the strong wind or falling sensation. Little Orange Cat was gripping my collar tightly with its paws, tail stiff, looking scared. I patted its head and told it not to panic. It just buried its face deeper into my collar. I asked Senior Lu where we were going. He said we were first stopping at a few universities to pick up other new recruits like me, some students from the 5 grade academies who passed the Tianlong selection, plus one genius from another school. I got a bit curious about their level. In Jiangcheng, getting into one of the 5 grade academies was huge news, but here they were just another batch of newcomers. Lu Chen told me not to feel inferior about coming from Jiangcheng. Tianlong only cares about strength, potential, combat achievements, and value, not background. I said I wasn't feeling inferior, just interested in how strong the others were. He said I'd see soon enough. After we picked everyone up, we would head to the Tianlong training camp. All new selected professionals go through initial training there first. He reminded me not to hold back in the camp. I had to fight for resources. The better I performed, the more support I would get. I said I understood. Then we stepped through a spatial ripple and appeared above a much bigger city. The profession center there was way larger than Jiangcheng's, and I could see several high-level dungeon entrances outside the city walls. We landed on the roof of a tall building where a tall, sturdy guy around 20 was already waiting. He had a black and red combat suit and a big knife on his back. His name was Shen Jinglei, a sophomore from Tianzi Academy. He looked pretty arrogant. He noticed me and asked if I was also joining the training camp this batch. I said yes. He asked which academy I was from. When I told him I hadn't started university yet and was just a high school senior from Jiangcheng, he was completely shocked. He asked if I was serious, a high school senior getting taken by Tianlong directly. He even asked instructor Lu Chen if I was a connection hire. Lu Chen coldly said Tianlong doesn't do that. Shen Jinglei got even more curious and asked about my talent, but Lu Chen told him not to pry into other people's professions. We picked him up and continued. Shen Jinglei kept talking the whole way. He was very confident and told me about how he fought his way through the 100 Academy War, beating sophomores from the 5 grade academies even though he came from a regular school. That performance got Tianlong's attention. He said he fought his way here. Then he introduced himself again and suggested we form an alliance. I raised an eyebrow and asked what kind of alliance. Shen Jinglei nodded and said, after we entered the training camp, there would be a lot of competition. The people from the 5 grade academies were all arrogant, and he hated that. He suggested we team up and crush them together. I asked if we could kill people in the training camp. He said he just meant beat them until they submit and avoid us. I told him we'd see, since I didn't know the details yet. He agreed that made sense, then said if the 5 grade academies targeted me, I could come to him for help. He patted his chest and said he would cover me in the camp. Instructor Lu Chen gave him a cold look that made him shut up for a moment. We flew to Genuan Academy. 8 students were waiting in the central square. As soon as Shen Jinglei saw them, he started provoking them, saying Tianlong knew Genuan needed to be beaten first. The Genuan students got angry. The black-armored leader and Shen Jinglei exchanged sharp words. One girl said he was just lucky with timing. Shen Jinglei laughed and said at the same age he would crush them. Their auras flared up and it looked like they were about to fight. Instructor Lu Chen told them to stop. There would be plenty of chances to fight inside the training camp. Anyone who delayed now could go back. They quieted down. On the rest of the trip, Shen Jinglei provoked every academy we visited. Tianwu University, Star Academy, Shenji Institute, and Holy Spirit Academy. He kept making sharp comments about their strengths and weaknesses. I stayed quiet and even moved a bit away from him. But he kept moving closer, so everyone thought we were together. When the 5 grade academy students asked who I was, Shen Jinglei immediately pointed at me and said I was Lu Fang, a high school senior from Jiangcheng who got pre-selected by Tianlong before even graduating. Everyone went quiet and stared at me with shock and suspicion. I looked at Shen Jinglei without expression. This guy didn't just attract hatred for himself. He dragged me into it too. The short-haired girl from Genuan Academy sneered and said, Shen Jinglei wasn't even as good as me, since I got picked up by Tianlong in high school, while he only made it in his sophomore year. Several others joined in with amusement. Shen Jinglei didn't get embarrassed. He openly admitted I was more outrageous than him, but said at least he was stronger than all of them. That made everyone's auras flare up again. Instructor Lu Chen stopped and warned that if they kept talking nonsense, he would throw them all down. Everyone shut up immediately. We continued flying over wilderness until Instructor Lu Chen stopped in midair. He took out a silver token with a golden dragon on it. The void rippled and a massive portal appeared, leading to a separate world. We stepped through. Inside was a vast space with a starry sky and a golden dragon shadow above. There were tall towers, floating dungeons, and strong energy everywhere. The gravity on the black metal plaza felt heavier. A huge 3-meter-tall man was waiting for us. His name was Instructor Xia Ji, level 600, Thunder Titan class. The moment he said his level, everyone was shocked. A level 600 powerhouse was personally instructing us. He told us to drop our arrogance. Tianlong had plenty of geniuses, and just being top in our academies wasn't enough. Then he showed a light screen with a level 400 hell difficulty dungeon. He said the graduation requirement was to solo clear it within 10 years. If we failed, we would be eliminated. A girl from Holy Spirit Academy whispered that 10 years might not even be enough. Someone next to her agreed it definitely wouldn't be for most people. This was basically raising venomous insects. Shen Jinglei licked his lips and said it was interesting. This was more like Tianlong. Instructor Xiaji told us the camp had the best resources in the Dragon Kingdom. Training towers, secret realms, mentors, forging rooms, everything. But nothing was free. We had to spend Tianlong points. He showed us the prices. Training towers cost 10 points per hour, mentors 50, rare scrolls starting at 300. He warned us to cherish every point. Then he said we would do a baseline test right away. It was our first chance to earn points. Score from 0 to 100, and we get that many points. Everyone got excited and competitive. Someone asked if the test was fair since levels were different, and glanced at me. Instructor Xiaji said the test adjusted difficulty by level and evaluated overall performance. Shen Jinglei suddenly grinned and made a big bet. Whoever ranked below him would owe him 10 points each, and he would pay 50 to anyone above him. The 5 great academies got angry and accepted. Then I stepped forward and said I wanted to join the bet too. They mocked me for being a high school student and said it wouldn't be honorable to bully me. I told them if they didn't dare, just say so. That pissed them off. The black armored guy changed the rules so I wouldn't have to pay if I lost. I refused and said we keep it fair. If I lose, I'll pay 50 points to each of them. Everyone looked at me like I was crazy. Shen Jinglei laughed and said I had guts. I got to the Qianlong training camp with the others. Instructor Xiaji looked surprised when I bet against the guys from the 5 great academies. I hadn't even finished high school yet, but I still put down the wager and said I'd pay if I lost. He glanced at Instructor Lu Chen, but Lu Chen stayed completely calm. Xiaji told everyone to quiet down, said, "Follow me," and led us inside. The camp was much bigger than it looked from outside. As we walked down the main road, he pointed out the areas. Left side for regular training, fitness, combat techniques, skills. Right side for simulated battlefields with monster tides. Ahead were mental pressure chambers, elemental rooms, dungeons, mission hall, and points exchange. The new guys were impressed. These facilities were better than what we had at the academies. Some older students passed by and greeted us, asking about the new batches from the different schools. Shen Jinglei walked beside me and explained quietly. He said after the 3-month newcomer period with classes and tests, most people join factions. The big 5 are basically the ones from the 5 great academies, Genuine Society, Tianwu Alliance, and the others. People team up for better access to resources, training rooms, and missions. Solo is harder. He called himself a lone wolf type, a strong individual. I reminded him he just tried to team up with me. He laughed it off and said that's different. Then he brought up the bet. He said I was bold but reckless. My talent is clearly strong since they took me early, but the most important thing here is proper training. Technique, combat rhythm, force application, battlefield judgment. He gave examples. 2 people with 200 strength. 1 without technique wastes most of it. The trained one gets way more out of the same stats. Same with skills. Landing them consistently in real fights matters more than raw power. Shen Jinglei glanced at the guys from the 5 great academies and kept talking. He said even though they got picked by Qianlong, their real edge was the systematic training they already had from the academies. Their class development, skill mastery, and combat experience were way ahead of a normal high school student. No matter how strong my talent was, right now I was still an unpolished gem and might not have the advantage in the test. I just nodded. He looked surprised. That's it? I said, what you said makes sense. But whether it makes sense and whether I'll lose are 2 different things. Shen Jinglei paused, then laughed. Fine. Now I'm actually looking forward to seeing this. We reached a huge black building. Instructor Xiaji led us inside. The room was enormous, with special alloy walls covered in formations and all kinds of testing equipment I'd never seen. Big crystal pillars, floating silver rings, rune-covered metal drums, and combat pods. The staff got everything ready. Instructor Xiaji explained the test. There were 6 parts total. 4-dimensional test, strength, agility, constitution, spirit, 15 points each. Combat test 20 points, potential test 20 points. Total 100. No external gear, no potions, no help from others. No skills except in the combat test. He called the first name, Gu Qinghan from Star Academy. A silver-haired guy stepped forward. Shen Jinglei told me he was a well-known magical class genius with very strong spirit. Gu Qinghan walked up to a giant metal drum over 3 meters tall. I asked Shen about it since I hadn't seen it before. He explained it was standard university equipment for the strength test. You hit it with everything you've got. The score is base coefficient times skill coefficient. Base coefficient starts at 2 for average. Higher attributes multiply it. Skill coefficient starts at 1 for raw power. Good technique, force application, bursts, coordination raises it. The other 3 attributes work the same way. I asked if high enough attributes could still get a perfect score even with low skill. He said theoretically yes, but it's unfair. Some people are just born with it. Still, perfect 15 on one attribute with only skill coefficient 1 would need base attributes over 7 times average. That's basically impossible. Even top academy graduates are around 4 times at best. That's why training matters more. Attributes have limits, but skills let you get way more value from what you have. I nodded and asked, I get the 4-dimensional and combat tests, but how do they measure the potential test? Shen Jinglei said the potential test is simple. He pointed to a big transparent crystal ball floating on a silver base with a nebula inside. You just put your hand on it. It reads your class quality, skills, growth potential, attribute potential, bottlenecks, and job transfer stuff to give a score out of 20. Normally over 10 is good, over 12 means core level in the academies, over 15 is top tier. He told me his first potential score was under 10, but after getting an SSS rank job transfer, it jumped to 13. He's aiming for another SSS on the second transfer to push it past 15. I told him getting SSS is impressive and wished him luck on the next one. He looked surprised by how direct I was and said if I lose points later, he might lend me some. Then Gu Qinghan started the tests. For strength, he punched the giant drum and got 7.3. Shen Jinglei said the indentation showed decent base attributes, around 4 times average, and the ripples showed good technique, about 1.8 coefficient. Next was agility on a hovering treadmill. He got 7.8. For the mental test, he pressed on a pale blue crystal and endured increasing pressure. He scored 12.0, which got people talking since it was clearly his strong point as a magic class. Constitution test used a gray crystal that hit him with layered negative effects. Poison, burn, frost, he held on but looked rough and scored 6.8. Then potential test on the big crystal ball. He got 13.4. Finally came the combat test. He stepped into a silver simulation pod. It closed and showed a virtual battlefield on the screen with 10 opponents. Shield warrior, assassin, archer, mage, healer. Shen Jinglei said it's one of the core pieces of equipment here. Shen Jinglei lowered his voice and told me the simulation pod comes from an old top powerhouse called the Illusion Weaver. That guy could create false worlds and virtualize status. Before he died, he made special equipment that projects people into a virtual space for fights. Later, they built the whole virtual network from it. Inside, you feel pain and fatigue, but don't actually die, so it's perfect for the combat test. On the screen, Gu Qinghan's fight started. He used Starlight Barrier and Starlight Orbs to attack, but the 10 enemies, Shield Warrior, Assassins, Archer, Mage, Healer, worked together well. He killed 7 before an assassin got close and cut his throat. He scored 12.4 in combat. His total came to 59.7. The Star Academy people looked satisfied. After him, the rest of the 5 Great Academies tested one by one. Most scored between 55 and 65. Some stood out in one area, like a Tianwu melee guy with 12.7 strength or a Holy Spirit support with 14 potential, but overall the differences weren't huge. I watched quietly. Shen Jinglei kept commenting, good strength but rough technique, decent agility, footwork, weak mental, okay for tanking hits, standard genius potential. The 5 Great Academies people started looking annoyed. Instructor Xiaoji and Lu Chen talked quietly. Xiaoji said this batch was upper middle quality. Lu Chen said it was normal because frontline fighting is brutal, so more retired powerhouses are teaching at academies now. Then Xiaoji called Shen Jinglei. The room got quiet. Everyone stared at him. He grinned at me and said, "Watch, I'll show you how they change faces." He walked to the strength drum, planted his heavy saber in the ground, then punched. The drum roared, caved in deep, and sent big raw ripples. He got 13.5. The whole room exploded. People couldn't believe a regular high school guy beat the Tianwu melee pros. The 5 Great Academies guys looked furious. Shen Jinglei turned around and asked why they stopped talking. He smiled at me and said, "See? That's face changing." Then he went to the next test. Shen Jinglei's other scores were lower. Agility 8.4, Physique 9.1, Mental 7.8. Someone from the 5 Great Academies sneered that high strength doesn't matter with such clear weaknesses. He just picked his ear and said, "Keep being jealous." He did potential next and got 13.2. Then he went into the combat test. Before entering the pod, he told the 5 Great Academies group to watch closely because this was his area. On the screen, he drew his blade right away and charged. He smashed through the shield warrior, cut down the archer with ranged blade aura, shattered an assassin behind him, broke a mage's barrier, and interrupted the healer. He wiped out all 10 in under 3 minutes and scored 18.0 in combat. His total was 73, the highest so far. The 5 Great Academies people looked furious. Instructor Xiaoji said he had real ability. Instructor Lu Chen explained that Shen started as a normal Berserk Blade guest, but advanced into the rare star-shattering Heavenly Blade class with excellent evaluations. Shen Jinglei came out smiling and told them he accepted their concession. Then he walked back to me, tossed his hair, and asked if he looked handsome. I said yes. He laughed. The tests continued, but the mood was different. No one else reached 73. The highest after him was only 68.3. Shen kept commenting on their results. Then Instructor Xiaoji called Shi Yanqing from Genyuan Academy. The room got tense. Everyone from the 5 Great Academies looked hopeful. Shen Jinglei stopped joking and told me Shi Yanqing is very strong. First in Genyuan's 4th year, all 3rd advancements SSS rank. As a 2nd advancement, he once killed 2 3rd advancement enemies alone on the front line. Shi Yanqing walked up calmly. He was the one expected to take back the face of the 5 Great Academies. He stepped forward and punched the strength drum. The sound exploded and the surface caved in deep. I watched Shi Yanqing test. His strength came in at 13.0, bit less indentation than Shen Jinglei, but much wider ripples. Then agility 11.6, physique 12.2, mental 10.9, potential 14.1, and combat 16.2, total 77 points. The 5 Great Academies group cheered. They were happy someone finally beat Shen. Shi Yanqing told Shen he'd wait for him to catch up in the camp. Shen just grinned and said it wouldn't take long. He also pointed out that one guy 2 years ahead of him beating him wasn't something to be so proud of, and asked if their standards were really that low. That shut them up again. Instructor Xiaoji and Lu Chen both said sure was impressive. Lu Chen mentioned his own old score was 75. More people tested after that. A Tianwu 4th year got 74, a Star Academy mental specialist got 75. The rankings became Shai 1st at 77, that Star guy 2nd at 75, Tianwu 3rd at 74, and Shen 4th at 73. Shen looked at the board and told me he wasn't worried. He had checked out the newcomers beforehand and knew only those 3 could beat him, so he'd still win the bet. He said at this camp you need to know how to calculate as well as fight. The last few finished. No one else passed Shen. A Holy Spirit support got close at 72.5, but that was it. Then Instructor Xiaoji called my name, Lu Fang. Everyone looked over. Most seemed bored or indifferent. They remembered the bet, but figured a high school guy with no university training couldn't possibly beat them. Shen patted my shoulder and said good luck. Even beating just one of them would be enough to embarrass the group. I smiled and told him my goal was first place. He froze and looked stunned. The people from the 5 great academies heard it too and started laughing. They said I was cute and cocky, that reality would teach me the gap soon, and that I was basically handing them points. Instructor Xiaoji told Lu Chen that losing some points would be good for me. Lu Chen just said, not necessarily, and keep watching. I walked up to the giant drum and punched it. The sound was plain, no ripples at all. Everyone thought I had 0 technique, and my score would be low. But the drum caved in extremely deep. The room went quiet, then erupted. The light screen showed strength test, 15 points. Perfect score. First one of the whole test. No technique, just pure base strength. The 5 great academies people were shocked. They couldn't believe a high school guy with no ripples got a perfect score. Shen Jinglei looked completely stunned. He remembered telling me earlier that perfect with only base attributes was basically impossible. Instructor Xiaoji was surprised too and asked Lu Chen if he knew. Lu Chen said this was the first time he'd seen my strength as well. I stepped up for the tests. Instructor Xiaoji said something about finally understanding why I was specially recruited just from that raw strength alone. Instructor Lu Chen didn't disagree. He knew a bit about me, but this was the first time he saw how extreme my base strength really was. The 5 great academies people calmed down after the shock. They started saying that even with a perfect strength score, it didn't mean much for the whole test. A pure strength class like mine would probably be weak in agility, mental, and physique. And without technique, I'd get countered in combat. That made sense to a lot of them. Shen Jinglei rubbed his chin and seemed to agree too, though he looked a little unsure after remembering I said my goal was first place. I didn't pay attention to the talk. I walked over to the agility treadmill. No one was sneering anymore after the strength result. The treadmill started. I just ran straight at first. When the speed ramped up and virtual obstacles appeared, I didn't use fancy footwork or predictions. I changed direction by force right when they showed up. It wasn't elegant or efficient, but my base speed was so high that I still cleared everything. I left after images, made brutal turns and stops, and stayed steady the whole time. The treadmill stopped. The screen showed agility test. 15 points. Another perfect score. The room exploded again. People were cursing and saying I now had 30 points from just 2 items. The 5 great academies guys looked completely different. They couldn't explain how a strength-focused class could also max agility. Some started worrying that even if the rest were average, I'd still beat a lot of them. Others hoped the other attributes would be weak, so it would balance out. I walked up to the mental test crystal and put my hand on it. The blue light came on and the pressure started increasing stage by stage. First stage, second, third, I felt nothing. It kept going deeper, from light blue to dark blue to purple. The pressure was way beyond what most people before second advancement could handle, but it still felt like nothing to me. I just stood there calm, breathing steady. No frown, no reaction at all. The room got completely quiet. The 5 great academies people looked more and more stiff. Then the crystal vibrated and the test ended. The screen showed mental test, 15 points, 3rd perfect score. No one cheered, just heavy silence. I took my hand off and went straight to the gray crystal for constitution. Gray aura spread up my arm. Weakness, burning, freezing, poison, slow, stun. Layer after layer of negative effects hit me. Colors flashed wildly inside the crystal, but I didn't pale, didn't sway, didn't even change my breathing or expression. It was like all those effects couldn't get through at all. Someone muttered that there was no need to watch, it would be another perfect. And it was. Constitution test, 15 points. 4-dimensional all perfect. Current total, 60 points. The whole room stayed silent. Those numbers made any comment feel pointless. Instructor Xiaoji stared at the screen for a long time and called me a pure stat monster, a 4-dimensional one at that. He asked Instructor Lu Chen where they found someone like me. Lu Chen said he didn't know I was this strong when he brought me back. A lot of the 5 great academies people looked numb or even a bit despairing. Some said they didn't understand how I could get perfect scores with basically no technique. They wondered what all their years of training had been for. They were used to being the monsters everyone looked up to, but today they felt what ordinary people feel when looking at them. Powerless. Even those with higher totals started to worry because I still had 2 tests left. With 60 points already, even average scores on the rest would put me high. Shen Jinglei stood there quiet for a bit, then slapped himself twice on the face. He rubbed his cheek and said quietly that it wasn't a dream. Earlier, he thought my goal of first place was crazy. After each perfect score, he doubted more and more. Now he fully believed I could actually take first. I looked at the results, then headed toward the combat test pod first. The staff got it ready. Everyone's attention came back on me. A lot of people still held on to one last hope, that combat would be where I finally didn't get a perfect. They figured even with crazy base stats, real fighting needed coordination, judgment, class knowledge, and adaptability against 10 same-level enemies. I stepped into the simulation pod for the combat test. The door closed and the virtual battlefield appeared, a big, empty, black plane. I felt my body and skills work the same as in reality. 10 enemies materialized in a balanced team: shield warrior, mage, assassin, healer, and others. As soon as it started, I raised my hand and summoned 10 money ghosts at once. They shot forward with afterimages and smashed everything. One broke the shield warrior's defense, one tore the mage's shield, one dragged the assassin out of stealth, and the rest took down the others. All 10 enemies died in 1 second. The screen showed combat test, 20 points. Time taken, 1 second. The room went completely silent. Everyone just stared. It wasn't really a fight, it was over instantly. My total went up to 80 points. I had perfect scores on the first 5 tests. Even if I got 0 on potential, I had already passed Shi Yanking's 77. I was in first place. Instructor Xiaji looked at the screen and said quietly, "Divinity." Instructor Lu Chen agreed it was highly probable. They talked about how I had clearly gone beyond normal professional systems. Divinity usually appears after the 3rd transition, but I showed signs already at the 1st. They tried to figure out which god it could be, but my combination of all 4 attributes maxed, and those explosive summons didn't match any known divinity path. It might be a completely new one that hasn't appeared before. They both looked at me. They said I was no longer just a genius, but a strategic level prospect. I walked over to the last test, the potential crystal ball. The 5 great academies people watched with complicated expressions. Some said it would probably be another perfect score too. With everything else maxed, if potential wasn't full, there would be something wrong with the test. Instructor Xiaji said it looked like the first 100-point score in history was coming. Instructor Lu Chen nodded and agreed. But then Instructor Lu Chen's face changed suddenly. He said, "Wait, something's wrong." He told Instructor Xiaji I couldn't touch that crystal ball. Xiaji's eyes widened and he said, "Oh no." I walked over to the potential test crystal ball. Instructor Xiaji suddenly shouted, "Wait, don't touch it." But it was already too late. I put my hand on it. The crystal lit up wildly. The light inside spun like crazy and turned blindingly bright. Then there was a loud crack. Dense cracks spread across the surface, and the whole crystal ball exploded into pieces that turned into light and disappeared. The base shook, and the testing screen went black. The whole room went dead silent. Everyone just stared. They had expected a full score, but not the equipment blowing up. Shen Jinglei looked at the empty base and said, "Brother, you smashed the testing equipment?" I looked at my hand and didn't say anything. I hadn't expected that either. Instructor Xiaji slapped his forehead and told the staff it was just an old crystal that was due to break anyway. Pure coincidence. Nobody believed him. I told him I didn't do it on purpose. He said it was his fault for not maintaining it properly. I asked how the score would be calculated. Instructor Xiaji said even though it exploded, he saw the fluctuations inside clearly reached full marks, so he gave me 20 points for potential. The staff updated the screen manually. Total score, 100 points. Everyone from the 5 great academies looked at the screen and stayed quiet for a long time. They had lost completely. I walked back to the group. Shen Jingli stared at me, then poked my arm with his finger. I asked what he was doing. He said with a straight face he was checking what kind of monster I was. He shook his head and said he thought I was dreaming when I said my goal was first place. He didn't expect me to actually get 100 points. He added that he used to think he was good at showing off, but meeting me showed him there was always someone better. Shi Yanqing walked over to me. Shen Jinglei whispered that, "Here it comes." Shi Yanqing stopped in front of me, calm and serious. He said he was Shi Yanqing from Genuine Academy and asked if I wanted to be friends. I reached out my hand and said I was Lu Fang from Jiang City. We shook hands. I walked back after the tests. Shi Yanqing came up to me and said everyone would get their identity tokens soon, and that he would transfer the 10 points he owed me right away once they were credited. I nodded and said, "Okay." Shen Jinglei, standing next to me, clicked his tongue and said Sure treated people differently. Shi looked at him calmly and said the strong deserve respect. Shen asked if that meant he wasn't strong. Sure said he was strong too, but too noisy. Shen didn't have anything to say to that. Shirt turned back to me and said if there was a chance later, we could go on missions together. After that, other top newcomers from the 5 great academies started coming over one by one. The psychic guy from Star Academy, Wen Xingqi, introduced himself and said we should exchange pointers sometime. The melee guy from Tianwu, Zhao Heng, who scored 74, said my strength was impressive and he'd like to spar when possible. More of them stepped forward. They figured someone like me could become important in Tianlong later, so making friends now was smart. Instructor Xiaji told everyone that was enough and stepped forward. He said the test was over and we had all seen the results. He started his usual speech about how this batch was only average and still far from the real elites in the camp. But then he paused and looked a bit awkward because of how things went. He coughed and added that some individuals performed quite well. He told the others not to be unconvinced. They were university students from the 5 grade academies, but couldn't even beat a high school student, which was shameful. The crowd reacted pretty flatly to that. He kept the lecture short and said that was it. We should go collect our identity tokens in the administration area. The tokens would handle our info, points, missions, and dorm access. After that, choose dorms in the rest area. Assemble at the 4th training ground tomorrow morning at 8. Latecomers lose points. Dismissed. The newcomers started leaving. Many looked back at me on their way out. Shen Jinglei put his arm around my shoulder and said, "Let's go collect the tokens and his debt while we were at it." I asked if he won quite a bit too. He laughed and said not bad. Even with me taking the spotlight, he ranked 5th and would make a profit on the odds. He said having income on the first day was a good omen. We followed the crowd out. Later, only Instructor Xiaji, Instructor Lu Chen, and a few staff were left in the room. Instructor Lu Chen asked Xiaji if he lacked confidence in his speech. Xiaji admitted it was obvious. He said normally he would suppress their arrogance by saying each batch is worse than the last, but this time with me there, he just couldn't say it. Lu Chen joked that with me around, the others would be lucky not to get psychological trauma. Xiaji asked how long Lu Chen thought it would take me to finish the newcomer training. Lu Chen said within 3 years. Xiaji thought 2 years. They both agreed my foundation was strong, but I had clear shortcomings in technique that needed filling. Still, someone like me probably wouldn't follow normal logic for improvement. Xiaji said the 100 points made it hard not to have confidence. If I really had unknown divinity, my growth could exceed everyone's expectations. They said they needed to keep a close eye on me because a seedling like this couldn't run into trouble. They mentioned the front line was getting harder with higher casualties and more rift contamination. The Dragon Kingdom needed new powerhouses. Xiaji looked toward the door and said, maybe once I grow up I could bring more hope to humanity. I was walking with some others toward the internal affairs area to get our identity tokens. Shi Yanqing was ahead with a few guys from Genuine Academy when some seniors from the same school came up to him. Their leader, senior brother Chung, asked if the test was over and if Shi Yanqing took first place among the newcomers. He said the factions had big bets on it and Genuine Society would win a lot if he did. Shi Yanqing shook his head and said it wasn't him. Senior brother Chung got upset and asked who beat him. Someone from Tianwu, Star, or Shenji. Shi said none of them. Then he asked if it was Shen Jinglei. Shi said no. Senior brother Chung looked confused and asked who it was. Shi told him it was me, Lu Fang, a high school student from Zhangcheng. Senior brother Chung couldn't believe it at first. He asked for the score. Shi said 100 points. Senior brother Chung and the others went quiet. He called it a true freak and a fierce dragon arriving at the camp. He said at least they didn't lose to the other academies. Similar talk started spreading fast around the training camp. In less than half an hour, word about the newcomer test got around. A high school guy named Lu Fang got a perfect total score of 100 points and even broke the potential crystal. People were repeating it in the newcomer area, senior areas, mission hall, and factions. Shen Jinglei and I reached the internal affairs area. It was a white building with windows for registration and tokens. We lined up, finished the process, and got our black identity tokens. The front had the Qianlong crest, the back showed personal info like age, level, and credits. The credits on mine started going up as the bets settled. Shen Jinglei checked his token and got happy. He said there were 40 people from the 5 great academies. He lost to 3, paid out 150 credits, but won against 37 and got 370. Net profit 220, plus 73 from his own test score, total 293 credits. I walked with Shen Jinglei after getting the tokens. He looked at his credits and grinned, saying this start was perfect and that he was naturally suited for the Qianlong training camp. I checked my own token. The perfect score, plus 40 people from the 5 great academies at 10 points, each gave me another 400. Total 500 points. Shen Jinglei saw the numbers on my token, and his smile froze. He grumbled that I was the wealthiest newcomer in history. We left the internal affairs area and went to the rest area. It had rows of small villas on hillsides and by the lake, each with its own protective formation. We could pick a standard one for free or pay points for better ones. Shen Jinglei saw the prices and chose the free villa. I did the same since I didn't know the value of points yet. After binding our dorms, Shen Jinglei took me to the dungeon area. It was a big underground plaza with hundreds of dungeon entrances from level 100 to 400. I thought the resources here were way better than back in Zhangcheng. Shen Jinglei picked a level 198 nightmare difficulty dungeon called Bloodblade Wasteland. He said it was right for him. I chose a level 103 hell difficulty 1 called Black Iron Demon Nest to match my level. We swiped our tokens and entered. I appeared in a black valley under a gloomy sky. The dungeon info showed level 103, hell difficulty, with monsters starting at level 140. I summoned 10 money ghosts right away. A group of dark iron demon insects, level 140, rushed at us. The money ghosts charged and smashed them in seconds. I got experience, gold coins, and some materials. The drops and experience were clearly better than outside. I kept moving forward with the ghosts. We cleared waves of dark iron demon insects, spiders, and hounds. Their levels went up to 160, then 180. The difficulty was high, but the rewards were good too. Along the way, I picked up a lot of equipment and materials. Gold bracers, demonized iron crystals, diamond armor-piercing boots, skill books like Gale Slash and Flame Explosion Arrow. Before even reaching the boss, I already had dozens of items, including an epic Holy Light Judgment Sword that gave good strength and constitution plus extra damage against dark and demon types. It didn't suit me, but it was valuable. I also got a couple ranged skill books, Flame Explosion Arrow and Windblade Rapid Fire. The money ghosts had empty slots, but after checking the effects, I didn't learn them right away. Their cooldowns and burst weren't the best fit. I decided to look for more. I went deeper into the Black Iron Demon Nest. The monsters got stronger, up to level 190 by the core area. The 10 money ghosts still handled them in a steady fight. I reached the big nest and faced the Black Iron Demon Nest Lord, a level 200 boss. It charged at me. The money ghosts collided with it and tore into its scales, but it was tough. It knocked some away with black spikes. I used Money Talks 3 times. Together with the ghosts, we brought it down. I got 8 million experience and leveled up to 104. The drops were everywhere. Materials, epic black iron magic armor, and skill books. One of them was Heavenly Flying Arrow. It had a combined attack bonus that worked perfectly with 10 money ghosts. I learned it right away. With my stats, 10 ghosts using it together could put out massive damage, close to 1.8 million in theory, and it didn't cost money. Good skill. I also picked up a level 50 recovery potion crafting blueprint. It wasn't useful for me directly, but I could send it back to the Fang Fang Chamber of Commerce. It would help them make steady gold long term, which benefits me too through wealth recruitment. I packed up the other equipment and materials to send back as well. This one run already gave way more than I expected. A level, good loot, the right skill, and a blueprint. Qianlong dungeons are on another level. Shenjinglei wasn't out yet, so I decided to run it 2 more times to test the new skill with the money ghosts. I looked at the dungeon entrances again and picked a new one. Level 1, 04, Red Flame Insect Valley, Hell difficulty. I swiped my token and went in. Inside the hot valley, magma flowed and Red Flame Demon Insects level 145 attacked. I summoned the 10 money ghosts and had them use Heavenly Flying Arrow right away. The combined attack made one powerful volley that blew apart groups of monsters before they got close. It worked great as AoE too. We pushed forward fast. Small groups we tore apart in melee, bigger ones we cleared with the arrows. At the magma nest we faced the Red Flame Insect King, level 202. It spat huge fire waves and regenerated quickly, but the ghosts tangled with it while I fired 4 rounds of Heavenly Flying Arrow. The boss went down. I got over 8 million experience, leveled to 104, and plenty of loot, including materials and skill books. The new skill saved a lot of money compared to using Money Talks. I left and immediately entered another level 104 Hell Dungeon. Same approach. Ghosts advancing. Heavenly Flying Arrow for bursts and bosses. The petrified giant python boss had high defense and healing from the earth, but 4 volleys of arrows pinned it dead. I leveled up to 105. These runs gave good experience, equipment, materials, and useful items for the Chamber of Commerce. I packed everything to send back later. Efficiency here was way better than outside. When I exited into the plaza, Shenjinglei was already waiting, leaning against a pillar with his saber. He looked surprised. "You're out already?" He said I was too fast for a hell dungeon. I nodded and said it was standard procedure. Shen's mouth twitched, and he muttered that I really knew how to act cool. He asked if we were heading back now. I shook my head. I looked around at the dungeon entrances and told Shenjinglei I wasn't tired yet and wanted to grind for a few more hours. He went quiet for a second, then asked if I needed to rest and recover. I looked at him, confused, and said I had only been going for a little while. Why rest already? Shen stared at me and said I wasn't human. He had been planning to take a break after his nightmare dungeon, but seeing me keep going made him feel like he couldn't slack off. He gritted his teeth, picked a level 198 nightmare dungeon called Bone Crushing Battlefield, and went in. I chose a new one, level 105 Shadow Cavern, Hell difficulty. Shen noticed the level and froze. He knew I had started at 103, so he realized I had leveled up twice already in basically no time. He looked shocked and wanted to ask how, but I swiped my token and entered before he could speak. Inside the cold, damp cavern, Shadowstone beasts level 146 crawled out from the walls. I summoned the 10 money ghosts. They crushed the first ones easily. I followed behind calmly. After a bit, I started thinking about efficiency. My current style was strong but crude. I adjusted the ghosts' positions, 3 in front for main clashes, 2 on the flanks to protect me, 3 blocking side tunnels, and the last 2 in the back using Heavenly Flying Arrow. 2 golden arrows shot out and pinned new beasts to the walls before they could even land. The formation worked better. I kept going in the Shadow Cavern and started adjusting how the money ghosts worked. Before, when all 10 rushed together, they sometimes wasted damage by piling on the same monster while others got through. I split the tasks, some clearing the path, some finishing low-health targets, some on the flanks blocking spawns, and others as mobile support. It felt better right away. Damage was more even and we moved a little faster. I kept experimenting, wedge formation in tight spots, semicircle encirclement in open areas to bunch monsters up, then hit them with Heavenly Flying Arrow all at once. In the boss fight against the level 204 Shadowstone Dragon, I used 3 arrows to interrupt first, then the rest for a big burst. It worked smoother than dumping everything at once. We cleared the dungeon in 42 minutes and 16 seconds, about 30 seconds faster than my last run. That small change added up. I could tell there was still a lot of room to improve the coordination, timing, and positioning. I collected the loot and left the dungeon feeling pretty good. As soon as I stepped out into the plaza, a staff member looked shocked and asked if I was already out. I nodded. I didn't feel tired, so I picked another hell difficulty dungeon right away and went back in. Meanwhile, Chengxuan was training in a gravity room under 100 times pressure. His token vibrated with the message that I had come out. He raised an eyebrow and figured I had withdrawn early from the hell dungeon. He thought it was actually a smart move for a new high school guy. Better to recognize the limit than push too hard and fail. I came out of the shadow cavern. A staff member nearby saw me and looked completely stunned. He asked if I was already out, like he couldn't believe it. I wasn't tired, so I swiped my token and went straight back into the same hell dungeon again. Not long after, Chengxuan got a message in the gravity training room. He was under 100 times gravity and about to come find me, but when he read that I'd cleared the level 105 Hell Shadow Cavern solo in 42 minutes and 16 seconds, he froze completely. He read it again, then nearly dropped to one knee from the gravity. He repeated the words out loud, cleared, 42 minutes, solo, hell level, and couldn't make sense of it. He even wondered if the heavy training had messed with his head. He contacted the staff right away and asked if the record was correct. The staff sounded just as shaken and confirmed it was real. He had seen me come out himself. Chengxuan realized his earlier assumption that I had withdrawn early was completely wrong. He told the staff to have me wait, that he was coming immediately. The staff went quiet, then said I had already gone back in. Chengxuan went silent again. He couldn't believe I was grinding hell dungeons back to back with no rest. He thought normal people need time to recover stamina and focus after something that intense, especially solo. He set a reminder for 40 minutes later and decided he would head over then. I cleared the shadow cavern again. This time it took 39 minutes and 3 seconds. I checked the time on my token and felt it was good progress. I put away the loot and went straight back in for another run. Chengxuan was training in the gravity room under heavy pressure. He got the message that I had cleared it in 39 minutes solo and froze. He double-checked, then contacted the staff to confirm. When the staff said I had already gone back in right away, Chengxuan couldn't believe it. He set a reminder for 40 minutes later and came to the plaza to wait. He arrived and saw the dungeon info showed I had just entered a minute earlier. He waited there. The time kept ticking. When I came out again, the clear time was 37 minutes and 5 seconds. I looked calm, breathing steady, no mess on my clothes. Chengxuan stepped in front of me before I could enter the next dungeon. He said he was Chengxuan from Genuine Academy. He reached out to shake my hand and got straight to the point. He was there to recruit me for the Genuine Society. They have fixed resource channels, mature dungeon strategies, frontline experience, and senior students who guide newcomers. If I joined, they would give me full guidance on missions, points, dungeon mechanics, and special resources, plus the best core treatment for someone with my talent. I shook my head and told him no thanks. He asked why. I said for me a team is actually a burden. He stayed quiet for a moment, then nodded. He didn't push it. Instead, he suggested we just be friends and stay in contact for possible future cooperation. I thought about it and agreed. We exchanged info on our tokens. After that, I headed to another dungeon entrance. I chose level 106 Bone-Rotting Wasteland, held difficulty, swiped my token, and went in. Chengxuan watched me go and muttered that the world really has all kinds of people. Right then, another dungeon nearby lit up and Shen Jinglei came out. He looked tired and messy, with tears in his combat suit and his saber on his shoulder. He was wiping sweat and clearly not happy with how it went. Chengxuan walked over to him too and invited him to join the Genuine Society. Shen refused right away. He said he was suited to be a lone wolf. Chengxuan told him not to decide too fast and explained that being a lone wolf in the camp is hard. Fewer missions, lower dungeon safety, more trial and error, and you need way better continuous combat ability than others. He said among the new batch, only I seem to have what it takes right now. Shen got a bit worked up and said he wasn't bad either. He mentioned after his second advancement he might catch up. Chengxuan asked if after that advancement Shen could solo same-level hell dungeons in 30-something minutes, or run several back-to-back while getting faster each time. Shen said that was impossible. Then he turned and saw the info on the dungeon gate showing I had just entered the level 106 Hell dungeon. Chengxuan told him calmly that I had already done 3 level 105 Hell runs in the time Shen did one nightmare, 42 minutes, then 39, then 37, and went straight into the next one. Shen stood there stunned, looking at his own torn clothes and the dungeon entrance. He finally said the world was really unfair. I kept grinding through the night. Shen Jinglei stayed too. He sat by the dungeon entrance, resting with potions and then going back in. Every time I came out of a hell dungeon, he was there, watching. He went from shocked to numb, and finally started muttering "animal" and "what an animal" under his breath. By 7:30 in the morning, I had reached level 110. The Money Ghost's coordination got a lot smoother. I had a huge pile of equipment, materials, skill books, and other useful stuff. I couldn't use most of it myself, but it would be good for the Fang Fang Chamber of Commerce. I stopped because we had to assemble at 8. I looked around and saw Shen Jinglei sitting in the corner, looking pale and tired, drinking a recovery potion with his saber beside him. I walked over and asked him how to send things out from the training camp. He pointed to the staff members and said, "Just give the items and message to them. They'll forward everything through Tianlong channels since we can't contact the outside directly." I nodded and went straight to one of the staff. When he saw me coming, he straightened up right away and asked what I needed. I told him I wanted to send a batch of items back home. He said that was fine. I started taking everything out. Rows of equipment, a small hill of materials, more than a dozen skill books. The staff member gulped when he saw the pile. Shen Jinglei noticed and came over. He looked at the loot on the ground, his eyelid twitching hard. "No way. Isn't this too much?" I told the staff it was all right. Shen Jinglei's mouth twitched, and he said to stop with the "all right" because it hurt to hear. He looked at the big pile and said it was a lot, especially since my dungeons were much lower level than his, but the hell difficulty drop rates were better, and I had farmed way more. The staff finished listing everything and asked if I wanted to send a message. I thought for a moment and said, "Bring it to Steward Zhang. Tell him to use these resources to develop the Fang Fang Chamber of Commerce. He can decide what to sell and what to keep. Focus on expanding the scale. This batch is just the start. I'll send more later." The staff said he would handle it. After that, Shen Jinglei and I left the dungeon area and headed to the assembly point. On the way, Shen Jinglei drank a recovery potion and told me not to underestimate the newcomer training that starts today. The first 3 months are a benefit period with lots of free resources and rewards for completing training. After that, everything runs on points, missions, and rankings. He said my strength is strong, but the training focuses on techniques like force application, footwork, battlefield judgment, weak point attacks, and rhythm control. I probably haven't studied those systematically, so it might be hard to keep up at first. He offered to help me catch up if needed since he has some skill in basics. I thanked him. At the same time, back in Jiangcheng, the Fang Fang Chamber of Commerce was in a morning meeting. They were short on liquid capital after my father took out a big amount, and several projects needed money. Steward Zhang was listening to the reports when he got a special call. The person on the line said they were commissioned by me to deliver a batch of supplies arriving in 8 hours. They relayed my message. Use the resources to develop the chamber, decide what to sell or keep, focus on expansion, and more would come later. Steward Zhang was moved but didn't expect too much since I had only been gone 1 day. Then he opened the manifest attached to the email. He froze when he saw epic equipment, ultra-rare materials, and kept going down the long list. His breathing slowed as he got to the end. The finance head asked what was wrong, but Steward Zhang stayed silent, stunned by what he saw. Most of the 5 Great Academy's newcomers were already there. Many looked over when I arrived. Shi Yanqing nodded to me, and I nodded back. Shen Jinglei looked tired, but forced himself to stand straight. Instructor Mo Jingxin walked up. She wore a black combat suit with a short trench coat and carried a sharp, dangerous aura. Everyone straightened up. She said her name and that she was level 580. Starting today, she would handle our training for the next 3 months. She glanced at the list and said she had reviewed our rookie test recordings and would arrange different training methods based on each person's strengths and problems. Back in Jiangcheng, Steward Zhang looked at the manifest in the morning meeting. He saw 5 potion-making recipes, multiple pieces of epic equipment, piles of rare materials, skill books, and more. The room erupted when he projected it. Everyone was stunned that I'd sent so much after only 1 day. Steward Zhang gave new orders, readjust plans, evaluate the market before auctioning epic equipment, split materials for orders and reserves, and start potion production immediately with alchemists. The atmosphere improved fast. This batch solved urgent projects and added stable profit channels. Steward Zhang felt the chamber's expansion could speed up thanks to this support from me. Everyone straightened up as she approached. She said our spirits looked good and specifically noted that grinding dungeons all night right after arriving was how rookies should be. Shen Jinglei perked up a bit at the praise. She looked at the list and told everyone to stand properly. Her gaze passed over me quickly. She said she had reviewed the recordings of our rookie tests and understood everyone's strengths and problems. Next, she would set up different training methods based on each person's situation. I stood with the others as instructor Mo Jingxin explained the rest. Besides our customized plans, we all had to complete 1 basic training task every day. She tapped the screen and showed the rules. Solo run a normal grade dungeon of the same level 5 times daily. No class skills allowed and attributes suppressed to the average value for a professional at that level. The square erupted. People were shocked. No skills and suppressed attributes took away most of our advantages, yet we still had to solo 5 normal dungeons every day. It sounded brutal. She said this was only the basic plan. Then she sent each of us our customized plans to our identity tokens. People checked them and reacted strongly. Shen Jinglei looked at his and asked her straight if this was something a human could actually complete. She smiled and reminded him he had just ground dungeons all night, so why back down now? I checked mine. 10 environmental simulation sessions daily, plus gravity chamber, mental pressure chamber, reaction training room, basic close quarters combat, and battlefield command simulation. Shen leaned over, saw it, and said mine looked even more extreme. He asked if she was training me like 10 people. I said my foundation in these areas was poor, and I needed the extra training to keep up. Instructor Mo Jingson added that everything had to be finished within 16 hours. She was already merciful by leaving 8 hours for rest. If we couldn't finish, that was on us. One newcomer stepped forward and said the intensity was too high. After the restrictions, each normal dungeon would take around 3 hours, so 5 would already eat 15 hours. Adding customized plans made it impossible in 16, maybe not even 24. Instructor Mo Jingson listened calmly, then smiled and asked, "So what?" She said just because he couldn't do it didn't mean others couldn't, and asked if the plan was wrong or if he simply wasn't good enough. She told us any veteran under the same conditions could finish the basic plan easily and still train more. Right now, we were just trash. The square went quiet. She said she knew we felt unconvinced, but she was the instructor. Anyone unhappy could withdraw now. No one did. She smiled, gave us silver-gray wristbands, and led us to the dungeon area. The wristbands suppressed our attributes to average and disabled skills. I put mine on and felt my power cut sharply. Everything felt unfamiliar. We could only enter matching level dungeons. Death kept full pain. 10 failures and we'd be sent back. Everyone started. I entered my level 110 Blacktooth Stronghold, normal difficulty. Later, Instructor Mo Jingson opened a surveillance screen showing all of us. Instructor Xiaoji appeared and called her method perverted. She asked what he meant. He said even veterans might not finish in 16 hours with the restrictions. She replied she wanted to see how we performed under impossible pressure and how much potential we could show. When he asked if anyone could finish in 24 hours, she looked at the screens, including mine, and shook her head. No. I entered the Blacktooth Stronghold. It was normal difficulty, level 110. The monsters were only level 90. I wasn't used to it after Hell Dungeons. I took out a sword and fought the first minion. It felt awkward. My movements were slow and rough. I got hit a few times before I killed it. The second one used a spear. I watched its shoulders and wrists to predict attacks, but I still got grazed. I kept adjusting. By the third and fourth, I started using the terrain better, retreating to narrow spots so they couldn't attack together, taking cover against archers, waiting for recovery gaps on long weapons. After over a dozen fights, I had several wounds, but I was getting the rhythm. I understood better why some people get much more out of the same attributes. It's all in technique and judgment. Outside, Instructor Mo Jingson watched my screen and said my combat technique was absolute trash. Instructor Xiaoji said it was normal since I had never learned systematically and I was adapting fast. She said that's why it was troublesome. Others were patching shortcomings, but I was rebuilding from the foundation. Xiaoji said I learned quickly. Mo Jingson replied that throwing me straight into the dungeon like this would probably give me more gains than a month at a normal university. I kept pushing through the Blacktooth Stronghold. I fought the minions carefully, using the terrain, blocking sightlines, and learning their movements. I got hit a lot and drank several recovery potions, but I kept going and slowly improved. It took over 5 hours to reach the boss, the Blacktooth Stronghold leader. It was strong with a huge saber. I kited it, avoided direct blocks, and struck at its ankles, knees, and wrists. After 30 minutes of careful fighting, I finally cut its neck and cleared the dungeon. When I came out, Instructor Mo Jingson said I was the slowest. Most others finished their first run in about 3 hours. She asked mockingly if this was the performance of a perfect score newcomer. I didn't argue. I asked if I could use skills outside the dungeon. She said yes. I used life-buying money right away. Golden light covered me and restored all my wounds, stamina, and energy in seconds. Both instructors looked surprised at how fast and complete the recovery was. Without saying more, I walked back to the same dungeon entrance and went in again. The second run was much smoother. I dodged better, countered faster, and finished the first minion in under 3 seconds. I kept improving as I advanced. I continued the second run in the Blacktooth Stronghold. I took better positions, used the terrain, blocked sight lines, and picked monsters off more efficiently. Injuries dropped a lot. I cleared it in 3 hours and 32 minutes. The third run was even smoother. I actively set up fights, memorized ambush spots, and moved with clearer rhythm. I took down the boss in 20 minutes and finished the whole dungeon in 3 hours and 1 minute. Instructor Mo Jingson saw the time and said, "Now that's more like it." Instructor Xiaoji smiled and noted it wasn't easy to get praise from her. I recovered instantly with life-buying money each time I came out and went straight back in. Meanwhile, the other newcomers started struggling badly on their third runs. Mental fatigue, slower reactions, and declining efficiency hit them hard. Shen Jinglei and Shi Yanqing were pushing through but clearly slowing down too. On the surveillance screen, I stood out. While everyone else got more tired and messy, I kept getting faster and stayed energetic thanks to the quick recovery. Instructor Xiaoji chuckled and said at this rate I might overtake them. Instructor Mo Jingson watched seriously and said this kind of intense training was needed to draw out a true genius's potential. Xiaoji added that my recovery ability was stronger than most recovery class professionals, making me unusually stacked in every way. I kept going in the Blacktooth stronghold. On the fourth run, I was more composed. I handled waves almost by instinct, used terrain better, and got fewer injuries. I cleared it in 2 hours and 50 minutes. When I came out, some newcomers resting in the plaza saw me and were shocked. One asked how many times I had finished. I said 4. They couldn't believe it. I used life-buying money to recover fully in seconds, then went straight back in for the 5th run. Instructor Mo Jingson saw the others watching and mocked them. She said it was fine if class gaps were big, but now everyone had skills disabled and attributes suppressed to the same level. They were university students, yet still behind a high schooler. The newcomers' faces turned red. One stood up angrily and said he was continuing. The rest followed. Inside, on my 5th run, I moved with real ease. I no longer reacted passively. I controlled the fights, blocked sight lines, forced overlaps, and struck at the right moments. 3 monsters, blade, spear, and bow, fell almost instantly. I laughed quietly. For the first time without skills or high attributes, I truly felt in control of the battle. I finally understood why Instructor Mo Jingson trained us this way. Removing skills and suppressing attributes wasn't just to make it hard. It forced us to polish pure judgment, observation, footwork, rhythm, and combat choices. These basics seemed simple, but once skills and attributes came back, the improvement would be huge. I was sure my combat power would be several times stronger when I returned to normal. When I came out the 5th time, Instructor Mo Jingson just told me not to stop and to continue with the other training projects. I nodded, used life-buying money to recover fully again, and headed straight to the next parts. Later, Shi Yanqing finally came out of his 5th dungeon. He looked completely exhausted, covered in blood and sweat. He asked Instructor Mo Jingson if he was first. She said second. He froze and asked who was first. She said it was me. Shi Yanqing stood there stunned. He couldn't understand how I finished first when he had the better foundation and experience. He sat down in a daze and drank a recovery potion, still looking lost. Instructor Xiaoji explained that I started slow at 5.5 hours, but kept getting faster each run, and my instant recovery let me pull ahead overall. Later, I moved to the environment simulation space. There were no skill or attribute restrictions. I had to defeat a gatekeeper 20 levels higher in random harsh environments. In the toxic swamp, I summoned 1 money ghost. After the basic dungeon training, my control over it felt much finer. I dodged precisely and killed the level 130 toxic swamp giant crocodile instantly. Outside, the instructors saw I cleared the first simulation in 1 minute. They were stunned. I finished all 10 simulations quickly. The basic dungeons had sharpened my instincts, and these let me integrate them perfectly with my skills. My control over the money ghosts now felt completely natural. I didn't rest. I twisted my neck, felt the gains were substantial, and walked straight to the next training. The gravity room. I finished the gravity chamber after half an hour. My whole body ached like it had been crushed. I used life-buying money and recovered completely, then went straight to the mental pressure chamber. Another half hour later, I came out pale, rubbing my splitting head, and used life-buying money again to restore my mental energy. I continued to the reaction training chamber and the rest of the customized sessions. The instructors kept getting notifications every half hour as I completed each one. In the plaza, the other newcomers were sprawled out exhausted, trying to recover. Shen Jinglei was lying on a stone pier, looking drained. Instructor Mo Jingson mocked them, saying Lu Feng had already entered his last customized session and would finish the entire day's training soon. Everyone went silent, shocked. Shen Jinglei jumped up and started doing his 10,000 basic saber slashes right there. At the 20th hour, I finished the battlefield command simulation space. I recovered with life-buying money and walked back to the assembly plaza. I told Instructor Mo Jingson and Instructor Xiaoji that my training tasks were complete. She looked surprised but said I had 4 hours of free time. I thought for a moment and made a request. I asked if in future training I could plan my own time. The customized plan helps with weaknesses, but I feel it's too rigid. Dungeon grinding combined with integrating gravity, reaction, and mental pressure into actual combat would be more efficient.